Hello and welcome to the Battle of Fire live stream. This is, let me take that off. This is the Late Lord Haven, and today I'm going to be taking you on a journey, exploring one of the main upcoming battles that will apparently take place at the start of the Winds of Winter, that being the Battle of Fire itself. Yes. So that'll be fun. I'm not late. What are you talking about? What's the time? I'm only 24 minutes late. That's nothing. That's like 5 seconds, 24 minutes. Who cares? Okay. So, as always, I'm doing a post video breakdown. Usually if you're new to the channel or new to this live stream, usually I release a video and then I'll have a live stream a week later or a few days later or whatever, kind of just breaking it down, going through it. I used to play it and then pause it and talk about it, kind of like a behind the scenes thing. But that takes ages. That takes a very long time. So I'm going to do a little slideshow instead. But how is everyone doing? I'll let people stream in as usual. Yeah, once I've done this, is my audio good? Yeah, it looks good. Yeah. Oh, it's a little bit quiet. Hold on. There we go. Right, yes. Once I've done this, of course, I'll be moving on to the Battle of Blood and Euron Greyjoy and, wrapping up my little early 2025 arc of exploring each of the battles. But before we begin, yeah, let me just check out what I've missed in the chat. Who here watched Glidus's April Fool's video? Glidus Jeopardy. A Song of Ice and Fire Jeopardy. It was Quinna GM, Michael Talks About Stuff, and myself. And I won somehow, despite getting the Frey question wrong. But that was lots of fun, so check that out if you haven't seen it already. Yeah, before we get started, if you would like to send in a question or a theory, or just have me say something dumb out loud, feel free to send in a super chat. It helps support the channel. This is my job after all. I quit my job to do this, so it means a lot. Or you can go into the description and click on the Streamlabs link. And that means if you donate money, YouTube doesn't take any of it. That goes directly to me. So you don't have to, if you don't like YouTube or whatever, you can donate that way. But it's up to you. And I will be reading the super chats and donations out as the stream goes on. I'm not going to save it to the end. I'll do them as they come. Okay, we'll be starting soon. Only 24 minutes. Alright. Let's have a look. Someone's working on a music tour across the UK and they're in a hotel room listening to this. Hey, if you want to shout your band out in the chat, just do that. I'll give them a shout out. Someone's got their Pink Haven hoodie on with some snacks. Hell yeah, shout out to the Haven hoodies. If you want a Haven hoodie, check out fantasyhavenmerch.com. Basically, a bunch of cool hoodies. They're very simple. They're very cozy, warm, good quality. And they've got a little Fantasy Haven logo over the chest. It's the shield logo with the FH in the middle. They're quite cool. And they come in a variety of colours. I've got a purple one. I haven't shielded my merch in a while. Not properly. I always just say, oh, there's some merch. I don't talk about it. It's because I want to release some new stuff. My current stuff is a bit boring. I want to spice it up a bit, but... King Shavepay got him. No, Shavepay did not get me. But we will be talking about him. Hey, everyone in the chat. Shout out Morphe VA in the chat, my boy, my patron. Also a voice actor, does some cool audio stuff, some ASMR stuff on YouTube. Why that's my patron, I don't understand, but I attract all kind of people. Okay, let's get started, shall we? Yes, the Barristan video has been climbing. Yeah, there was I knew that one was going to blow up because the big controversy about Barristan's death and the fact he's still alive in the show means that I knew people were going to flock to that one. The book versus shows that have a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of spice to it, are fun to make, and I think they're probably quite fun to watch. Oh, and my next one's going to do better than Barristan, by the way. My best performing book versus show is The Real Bronn, because I think the thumbnail's pretty good, but next up, and I know I said I'm going to do the Battle of Blood, but even before the Battle of Blood, I'm going to do the real Euron Greyjoy. I'm going to compare Show Euron to animated book Euron, and we'll have lots of fun with that one, because book Euron is so cool and weird and enigmatic, and Show Euron is so absurdly lame, so comically lame. I can't wait. I'm in the process of drawing a bunch of Iron Islands characters as we speak. My patrons have already seen my drawings of Euron and the Greyjoys and so on the Patreon Discord. Okay, have I done enough preamble? Have I done enough shilling, etc.? Book Stannis video? One day. You know, I did... Yeah, I probably should have done the real Stannis before I did Battle of Ice, because I've kind of been doing a real thing, like a book v show comparison before each battle, and I didn't do one for Battle of Ice. And right. Oh, super chat. Thank you for the super chat from Catherine N, who says, "Please pledge your loyalty to Aerion Brightflame and his glorious descendant, Aegon the Young Griff Brightflame." Ah, I see. You're a Brightflame truther. There are a whole bunch of theories about who young Griff is. Some people say he truly is Aegon Targaryen, the son of Prince Rhaegar. Others say that he is actually secretly a Blackfyre, perhaps the son of Sarah Blackfyre and Illyrio Merpatis, a Blackfyre through the male line. Or maybe he's a Pisswater Prince, maybe he's a nobody who's been elevated. Or perhaps he is a Brightflame, descended from Aerion Brightflame, who had a son called Maegor, and we don't know what ended up happening to Maegor. There's someone posted a theory in one of my in the Battle of Fire video that the Tattered Prince might be Maegor Brightflame or Maegor Brightflame's son, or I don't know. Anyway, I hereby pledge my loyalty to Aerion Brightflame and his descendant Aegon Brightflame. There we go. Yeah, I made it official. Okay, so starting off, to understand the upcoming Battle of Blood, we really need to build up from A Storm of Swords onwards. With the Battle of Ice, it's quite isolated to A Dance with Dragons. Battle of Steel, likewise, isolated to Dance with Dragons. But the Battle of Fire has a lot of build-up, right? Lots of build-up. So, to begin with, Daenerys. Quick overview of the story of Daenerys. Her brother is the Beggar King, Viserys III. She's sold into marriage to Khal Drogo, but then Drogo kills Viserys and they go and do their own thing. Drogo gets Daenerys pregnant, and their son Rhaego will be the stallion who mounts the world, and the Dothraki will help her conquer the Iron Throne. But then Drogo dies from an infected wound, and most of his Khalasar abandons him and leaves Daenerys with a few loyal fellas like Rakharrow, the Blood Rider, and Ser Jorah, the Andal, and so on and so forth. And she ends up going to Qarth to do nothing for a book because George was restructuring the books and realized that the War of the Five Kings was going to take longer than he expected. So on one hand, lots of storylines got fleshed out and expanded, and that was really cool and fun. But on the other hand, he was like, shit, Daenerys can't invade yet. I need her to do something. So Daenerys spends a Clash of Kings in Qarth doing nothing, but at least there are cool visions at the end. But A Storm of Swords is where things ratchet up. That's where, instead of going back to Pentos to meet with Illyrio and maybe plan an invasion, she's like, I need an army. I just have a few stragglers behind me, some Dothraki. I need an army. So she sails to Slaver's Bay. Slaver's Bay is, one of the... It contains 3 city-states, and, it's what remains of the old Giscari Empire, which is a huge empire that was like the #1 rival to the Valyrians back in the day before it collapsed. So they're the last vestiges of Giscari culture. They engage in brutal slavery. There are 3 cities. There's Astapor, Yunkai, and Meereen. Astapor, the one on the screen, is known as the Red City, and that's ruled by the Good Masters. The Good Masters of Meereen. And they specialize in selling warriors, specifically the Unsullied. The Unsullied are a highly trained army of eunuch warriors who are treated horribly. They're raised since birth. They're castrated so that they're not distracted by lust, and they don't engage in grape or any of that stuff. Any of those demonetizable words. they're very much, you know, they act in formation. They have shields. They defeated thousands of Dothraki. What was that? Sorry, were they defending Karth? Was it? I'm trying to remember from the World of Ice and Fire. The Unsullied all teaming up as like a big shield phalanx and like protecting the city. And the Dothraki kept riding at them, and they couldn't break through the Unsullied. So the Dothraki went, okay, we give up, and they cut off their braids in shame because it was a defeat, and they threw it at the feet of the Unsullied. Remind me in the chat what battle that was. But yes, the Unsullied are fearsome, and you know, to graduate their training, they have to purchase a newborn baby, son or daughter of a slave woman, and kill it in front of the mother to kind of show, you know, they have no feeling, they're willing to do anything. Yes, the 3,000 of Qohor, thank you, Boomla. Obvious inspiration from, you know, the 300 of Sparta. So yes, Daenerys wants them because they have you know, hey, she's got a bunch of ships, she has dragons, she's got some little bit of treasure, I think. So she goes over to Astapor and she goes, she negotiates with the large fellow on the right of the screen who's called Krasnismo Naklos, who's a kind of nasty, sadistic, misogynistic man. And he's like, okay, well, you know, give me, what do you have to give me? You're a little girl, what do you have to give me? And Daenerys is like, I'm going to give you my entire fleet, and I'm going to give you my dragon Drogon. And he's like, yep, that sounds good. I'll give you the entire Unsullied army if you give me a dragon. Are you kidding me? That's, you know, you're hiring a mercenary company, and in exchange you're giving me a nuke. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that. Let's shake on that. So, but of course, this is not Daenerys's actual plan. Daenerys is like, you know what? These slaves are being treated awfully. These good masters are vile. I do want this army, but I don't want to buy a bunch of slaves. I'm going to free them. So she does at the plaza. Is it the Plaza of Punishment or the Plaza of Pleasure? The Plaza of Plenty. Probably alliterative. She unleashes Drogon, Dracarys, and Drogon burns Krasnismo Naklos to death, and goes around just spraying everywhere like a flamethrower with wings. And her first act in charge of the Unsullied, because she holds the whip that signifies her leadership. Her first act is to say, okay, everyone, I'm going to command you to slay all of the good masters. All of them. Basically, and they're the nobility. They're the aristocracy. So slay all of them. I think it was, unless they're under 13 or 14 or something. So the women are spared, the children under 13 are spared, anyone over, you know, teenagers and adults are all massacred. Which is pretty brutal. And then afterwards, she's like, yep, Meereen, Astapor, you are now free. You're welcome. And she says to the Unsullied, I don't want an army of slaves, so you are now officially freed. Do what you want with your freedom. And some of them leave, like, okay, I'm just going to go and, you know, go to Ibiza, chill on the beach, crack a beer open. But others are like, well, no, we want to be with you. We want to, as a show of respect, we want to join you. And interestingly, a lot of Unsullied keep their slave names, right? She's like, Daenerys says, you can have any name you want. And Grey Worm, for example, the leader of the Unsullied, says, I want to be Grey Worm. I could change my name to something badass, like, you know, Fiery Drake, or Serpent-Tongued Wyvern, or whatever other variation of dragon I can remember from Glidus's amazing video about dragon legs. Check that one out. But no, instead he says, I'm going to stick with Grey Worm because this is the name I had when you freed me. So that was pretty cool. And before she goes, she's like, oh, right, I've kind of accidentally wiped out the entire male leadership of Astapor. So I'm going to put a council in my stead to rule this red city and turn it from a city of blood and tears into a land of milk and honey. I'm going to put a priest, a scholar, and a healer in charge. The healer, you know, someone who understands what people need, probably gets his hands dirty, knows how to cure people, make people healthier on an individual level. Then you have the scholar, who's a bit more kind of more in the reads, knows more about history, more about philosophy perhaps, and then the priest, of course, who will maintain the religious traditions. Again, there's not much of a justification, but it's like, let's get these three men, they can form a council, off you go, and then Daenerys leaves. And everything goes perfectly. Except it doesn't. But before we go on to the man on the left, Cleon the Butcher, let's answer some super chats. Oh, Quinn James in the chat. Hi, Quinn. How you doing? Quinn said, I remember that from the hit HBO television program A Game of Thrones. Yes. I don't know if anyone has seen this. A Game of Thrones season 3, the dragon show continues. There's a scene where Daenerys, you know, the Dracarys scene is one of the most famous scenes from the show. Really well done. Really good adaptation. It's one of those scenes where you're like, how are they going to do this? And they just kind of hit out of the park and you're like, oh, the first time you watch it, you're like, let's go. All right. Thank you for the super chat from Fifi Trixabel, who says, I need some Jingle Bell merch, Lord Haven. I just love the poor little guy. You draw him so cute. I get a lot of messages of people saying, why don't you put the characters on merch? Your characters are so cool. Do pins. Put them on t-shirts. Put them on mugs. Make fridge magnets or whatever. I kind of can't do that legally because they're not my character. They are trademarked characters. So, you know, technically it would be illegal. I mean, you know, people who sell A Song of Ice and Fire art on Patreon are technically committing a crime, right? Because it's... So I could do it. I could be like, hey, here's some merch with my characters on. But in theory, I could get sued by HBO and George R. R. Martin. And they like suing people. Americans love to sue. So it might be risky, but yeah, it'll be... yeah. At some point, I want to find a way to like sell characters as pins and on t-shirts and stuff. I guess it would just have to not be A Song of Ice and Fire characters. I don't know. We'll have to see. Thank you for the super chat from Ali2567, who says, my hot take is that Aegon is actually Aegon. Because why would Varys lie to a dying Kevin Lannister? This is probably the strongest argument in favour of young Griff actually being Aegon Targaryen, the son of Prince Rhaegar. Because that's who Varys says he is to Kevin, who he's just shot with a crossbow and who is about to be shanked by a bunch of little kids, so that Tyrion can be framed. Like, why would he lie? If you're killing someone and doing the classic monologue, why do you need to? Why not just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put a Blackfire on the throne, just letting you know. Yeah, Ali's got a couple of responses. Someone said his little birds are listening. Yeah, that's true. His little birds were there. Maybe he didn't want them even knowing about the Blackfire thing, even though they can't talk and they can't write. Wait, can they write? I can't remember. Anyway, and someone else said he just said Aegon. Huh. Yeah, what does Varys say in the speech precisely? Does he explicitly say that Aegon is Rhaegar's son, or does he just say, I'm putting Aegon on the throne, and Kevin's like, assumes that it's the son of... I don't know. Let me know in the chat. And thank you for the super chat from Pioneer10, who says, I think young Griff is the son of Septa Lemore and Oberyn Martell. Okay, so Septa Lemore is a Septa who sort of one of the motley crew on the Shy Maid, helping to raise young Griff into being a great ruler, a great monarch. And Septa Lemore's there probably to teach him about faith. Tyrion notices she has stretch marks. And is like, either she's been hidden that Ozempic or she's had a child, and it could be that young Griff is her kid. Why Oberyn Martell? Wait, where does that... I don't know where the Oberyn part comes in, but honestly, if someone in Essos got pregnant, the odds of it being Oberyn are non-zero. Higher than you'd think, actually. Yeah. The old Geese Empire. Sorry, Gis. I keep calling it Geese. It's G-H-I-S. Gis, I guess. Giscari, Gis. Not Geese. Although the Geese Empire sounds fucking fire, actually. Oh my god. Quinn Jim said, I could make merch out of my legally distinct character, Bell Jingle of House Frey. Yes. I could also sell my other characters, Albino Queen, Short Blonde Man, and Brooding Man in Black with White Dog. I could do. I might not get in trouble for that. Any any similarities to existing characters from trademarked IPs are a complete coincidence. Yeah, other people are being meta about it, being like, Varys doesn't lie to Kevin because Gurm didn't want to spoil the twist. Gurm's usually good at that stuff, though. He doesn't usually make mistakes like that. Okay, so here's what happens in the aftermath. Because the issue is that, you know, it's all well and good to be like, slavery is evil and it needs to be abolished and so on, but like, these are cities that have existed for hundreds of years, thousands of years now in Gurm, and they were made by slaves. They're built on the back of slavery through blood, sweat and tears. The cities were built, and the entire economic system runs on slavery. Their cultures and religion is built around slavery. It's a part of their history. It's a part of their pride. The aristocracy, part of what makes them aristocracy is that they are masters. So when you suddenly remove that element, you're creating a power vacuum, and it's being filled in very flimsily. It's being filled in by a scholar, a healer, and a priest, and presumably they don't do a great job, and they end up being overthrown by Cleon the Butcher, who is a former slave and a butcher. The best butcher in Astapor, apparently. What is he? He can, like, chop up a pig in whatever, I don't know, 5 seconds or something. And he basically says, the council are trying to reinstate slavery and bring back the good masters. We need to execute them. So he has them executed, and he's like, I'm the leader now. If you disagree with me, you're going to end up in someone's pie. Shout out to Wyman. And so he becomes King Cleon the Great. And he says, I'm the leader now. I'm a former slave. Now I rule this town. And he goes, wait a second. Actually, yeah, no, we kind of do need slaves. So he enslaves the former masters. The children of the good masters are enslaved and turned into the new Unsullied. So the masters become the slaves, the former slaves become the new masters. And yeah, say hi to the old boss, say hi to the new boss, same with the old boss kind of thing. And it's interesting because every time Daenerys goes to a different city, she leaves and it doesn't quite work out as she planned. And yeah. So next up, she moves over to Yunkai, the Yellow City. Wait a sec. Yeah. The Yellow City. And that's ruled by the Wise Masters. Now, the Wise Masters, while Astapor breeds the Unsullied, the Wise Masters and Yunkai, they tend to breed bed slaves. That's kind of their focus, is slaves for pleasure. And as a result, the Wise Masters here are really weird and creepy, and we'll be talking about them later. Shout out to Lord Wobblecheeks and the Yellow Whale and so on. So, excuse me. So Daenerys arrives, and at this point, you know, she's got a few loyal Dothraki, but she's also got some Unsullied with her. And she's like, okay, let's go, let's cook. We're going to take Yunkai as well. And Yunkai, of course, have sent a force out already onto the battlefield to meet her, because they're like, oh, she took Astapor unawares, she's not going to take us unawares, trust me. And they hire a couple of sellsword companies. One is the Second Sons, led by Mero, the Titan's bastard. And the other one is the Stormcrows, led by Dario Naharis. Does Dario lead the Stormcrows? He kind of co-leads them, doesn't he? Yes, he's one of the captains, along with Prendel Nargezen and Salor the Bald, but he kills the other two captains and is like, fuck them, I'm the solo captain now, I'm on your side, Daenerys. And he joins forces with her, and he attacks the Yunkish army in the rear. Meanwhile, the Second Sons are all getting drunk, so they're not involved in the battle at all. Mero, the Titan's bastard, gets kicked out and later killed, and they're taken over by Brown Ben Plum, who says, hey, I want to join you too. You've got dragons, you've got Unsullied. So She ends up marching up to Yunkai, having defeated their army, most of whom surrender. It's not even a massacre, they surrender. And you have Unsullied, some Dothraki, Stormcrows led by the roguish Dario Naharis, and the Second Sons led by the charming Brown Ben Plum. And the wise masters of Yunkai, of course, they're known to be quite intelligent and slippery. They go, okay, you bested our army on the field. You know, you've got dragons, you've got a nice little army. How about, instead of, massacring us, you let us stay in power, you let the Yunkish aristocracy stay in power, you let the wise masters continue to rule, but we're going to end slavery. We're going to, and oh, look, boom, we've abolished slavery, right? Get the celebrations out, crack out the Ben and Jerry's, get the beer, we're going to get some fireworks, we're going to have fun. All right, bye Daenerys, bye, go to the next city, bye. Is she gone? Is Dany gone? Okay, let's keep doing the slavery thing. That's basically what happens. They just bullshit, and when she leaves, they're like, okay, no, obviously we're going to continue slavery. We're not going to economically cripple ourselves and risk our power base. Yeah, we're just going to keep doing slavery. But now that she's gone, we're going to try and build up an alliance of other cities that obviously engage in the slave trade, which Daenerys is massively disrupting, causing lots of economic damage. We'll ally with them. Cities like Illyria and Tolos and Nugis, also known as Nugis. That's the official pronunciation now, it's geese. And Volantis. And we're also going to hire a bunch of sellswords. We'll be talking about all the various factions within this Slavers Alliance later. But Yunkai turned their eyes to Astapor. And decide to deal with Astapor first and Meereen later. But before we talk about that, let's move on to the third city on Slavers Bay. Daenerys and her ever-growing army of unsullied freedmen, Dothraki, sellswords, etc. march towards the largest of the three cities in Slavers Bay, Meereen. I think it's larger than both the previous cities combined, actually. And while Astapor is the red city and Yunkai is the yellow city, Meereen is the pyramids are made of all kind of different colors, and so each house will kind of own a different pyramid, and that pyramid will be the color of that house. So, for example, there's a house called House Parl, and I believe their colors are pink and white or purple and white, and so that's the color of the bricks in the pyramid they own, because that's their house colors. So it's a multicolored, cool little city, big city, and that's ruled by the Great Masters. You have the House of Reznak, the House of Parl, the House of Lorak, the House of Skahaz, so on and so forth. So Daenerys took the first city unawares, by surprise. Daenerys defeated the second city's army in battle and forced them to surrender and compromise. Now she's moving on to Meereen. Obviously, they're keeping the gate shut. They're not marching out to face her, but they're also keeping the gate shut. They're like, leave us alone. Good luck sieging us. You know, we're by a river. We're huge. Go away. And so Daenerys says, okay, this is how we free them. We're going to infiltrate and free the slaves. We're going to do a little Mission Impossible here. She sends a crew that involves Barristan Selmy, Strong Belwes, my beloved, and Jorah Mormont into the sewers of Meereen, and then they appear deep inside the bowels of the city, and they run around freeing slaves, specifically the slaves from the fighting pits, because Meereen famously has the fighting pits. There's the largest one called Daznak's Pit, and it's gladiator slaves. It's very Roman. They're fighting for the amusement of the masters. But the fighting pit slaves are freed, and they run around being like, freedom, and obviously they kill the masters and free other slaves, and there's a big rebellion, and eventually the gates are opened and Daenerys' forces charge in. Now, unlike Astapor, it's not a complete, genocide of the aristocracy. It's like, we're taking over and we are forcefully abolishing slavery. But Daenerys looks back at Astapor, which has been taken over by a butcher king. She looks at Yunkai, that's been taken over by exactly the same people as before, who just betrayed their promises to her. And she says, well, every time I conquer this place that I culturally, historically, and socially don't understand, and then leave it, things go to shit. So I guess if I'm conquering this place, I need to stay and actually rule it. I need some kind of plan here. So she's like, hey, if I want to conquer Westeros, take the Iron Throne, I need to know how to rule. So I'll be Queen of Meereen. And she becomes Queen of Meereen. And she forges a council. So she's got Barristan Selmy on that council. She's got Dario Naharis on that council. She's got a seneschal known as Reznak Mereznak, who's a kind of an obsequious, hand-wringing, perfumed fella who likes to suck up to anyone in power. There's Skarhaz Mokandak, who's the Shave Pate, who rules over the Brazen Beasts and the Shave Pates. Anyway, we'll talk about that stuff later. But either way, she's the queen. There's a council. She now rules Meereen. But the wise masters of Yunkai are like, nope, we're not going to allow this. Let's build up an alliance. Let's hire some sellsword companies. Let's take down both Daenerys and Cleon the Butcher. So, we're going to be talking about how Yunkai and the Slaves Alliance take down Astapor. That's the next step. Quinn said, for some reason, I always remember the way Jorah said Cleon in the show. Because I remember every line Jorah says in the show. He's like, Cleon the Butcher. Khaleesi. Thank you for the super chat from Lord Hoss McCoy, who says, great work, love your stuff. Also, opinion on Sam. So, Sam Tarly, I assume. It's been a while since I read through the books, but my opinion on Sam is that he's very annoying and I prefer him in the show. He's one of the few characters whose show arc is actually more satisfying and better paced than the book counterpart. So in the show, Sam starts off, he's kind of craven and obese and sort of not self-loathing, but he's got some self-esteem issues for sure. And over time he becomes braver and braver, and he stands up for himself and he does the right thing, and he certainly keeps his personality. He's still slightly meek, slightly bumbling, academically inclined, but he does become braver. The Sam of the show internally doesn't seem to evolve much. Of the book, internally doesn't evolve much. He's constantly moaning about how much of a coward he is and how fat he is and how no one likes him. And at some point, the self-pitying, I can't stand self-pitying. I can't stand that stuff. So every time when I first read the Sam chapter, I was like, I get it. But then when you get to Feast and he's and Dance and he's still like that, it's like, oh, stop it. Shut up, Sam. Like, shut up, Sam. Stop all the self-doubt and the whining and the, oh, I'm so fat, shut up. Like, it gets annoying. It gets very annoying. But I'm very excited to see where his storyline goes in the Citadel. And we are going to, and of course, the 5-year gap, he'd probably be a maester by now. I wanted to do that live stream with Quinn, didn't I? We'll do that at some point. The 5-year time jump, basically trying to make the 5-year time jump work, going to every character and being like, what would they do, and we can have a map up and everything. That'd be fun. Anyway, yeah, notice how I said I can't wait to find out, because I know Winds is coming. This morning I read that George R. R. Martin said that Winds of Winter is the curse of his life, and I turned to my bedside table and there was a black pill and a glass of water ready to be taken. I said no, and I knocked it off. I said, only hopium, get me the canister. No black pills here today, because it's coming out in 2025. I'm telling you now, Winds is coming out 2025. Okay. Someone said they like to get high and watch my videos. What's that like? I hope they don't scare you, those big eye creatures. Thank you for the super chat from Coleshot, my patron, who says, house bear emoji video when? I know I'm asking for a long time. I promised him a House Mormont video like a year ago, and I never got around to it because there's so much more interesting things to talk about than House Mormont. I will eventually do House Mormont, and I will tie it in with the real Jorah for sure, but I don't know when. At some point I'll do that. Ba-dum-bum-bum. In the show, I always wondered if Butcher was real or derogatory. Yeah, but it's both. It's both. He is both a former butcher and, well, presently a butcher as king in a different way. So, let's go back to what Yunkai gets up to. So, Yunkai hires the Windblown Sellsword Company, ruled by the Tattered Prince, and the Long Lances, ruled by Gylo Rhaegon, the brother of Ronald. And with his united army, they march up to Astapor. Cleon the Butcher says, okay, I'm going to face them out on the battlefield, like Daenerys did. Let's go. So he charges out with his army of new Unsullied, who are basically just kids and teenagers, and lo and behold, they're kind of fucked up in the field of battle, and he flees back to Astapor like, oh god, and they shut the walls, and then Yunkai sieges the city. Of course, in the city, they start having food issues, diseases start to spread, in particular, the pale mare spreads, which is their name for the bloody flux, which is basically dysentery. And at the top, King Cleon goes, okay, well, we can't just sit in here while our city collapses under siege from the inside. I need to go out and we need to destroy. I'm ordering the army to march out there and face them. And everyone goes, no, we're not going to do that. And so Cleon the Butcher gets killed. Now, I don't think we fully know how many kings there are. There's a succession. We know of 2 more kings. It could have been more. But we know that Cleon is killed, and at some point, someone who calls himself Cleon II becomes the new king. And he rules for like 8 days or 9 days or 10 days, and then his throat is slit by King Cutthroat. King Cutthroat is his moniker, his epithet, and he says, okay, everyone, I'm the king now, follow me. But Cleon the Great's concubine says, no, I'm the queen, and she has a crown for herself, and she's known as Queen Whore. So then you basically have 2 rival claimants, King Cutthroat and Queen Whore, who both claim to rule over Astapor, and their support bases split up and start fighting in the streets. So not only are they starving, not only is dysentery spreading, you have like different factions fighting each other, and it all turns to shit, becomes chaotic, and eventually the gates open and the Yunkish army march in, and yeah, lots of the citizens flee, lots of them are dying in the streets. The Yunkish army set fire to a certain part of the city, and a fire begins to spread. Queen Whore decides to go down fighting, and she's killed in the streets. King Cutthroat is captured and stripped naked and thrown into a pit to be eaten by wild dogs. And yeah, Astapor's just completely destroyed. It's been completely just dragged through hell. And like the whole... when people talk about Astapor, they're like, it's like hell, basically. Like, this city has just become horrific. And it all leads back to, unfortunately, Daenerys disrupting an extremely brutal system and then leaving it with a power vacuum. So the Yunkish army then go, okay, we've conquered Astapor, now we are going to march to Meereen. So they head over to Meereen, and they have a big army at this point. And again, we'll break down the factions later and the sub-factions and so on. But they have a big army. They're outside Meereen. Their forces are being led by the Supreme Commander, who is oh boy, I'm gonna struggle with the names here. Hold on a sec. Don't make me remember all the names. What's his name? Yurkazo... No. Yes. Yurkazo Yunzak. My favourite. Yurkazo Yunzak is the Supreme Commander. He's an old man with a stooped shoulder. He doesn't really know anything about military matters. And he's ruling over a giant army of various different groups. So it's a bit chaotic. And because of what happened to Astapor, the Pale Mare, aka the Bloody Flux, is also spreading through their camp, so it's not going great. But he's camping outside Meereen, and they want to do a deal. And so the deal is, basically, what is the deal? What's the pact they signed? Oh yes, Daenerys has to marry Hizdahr zo Loraq, and she has to open up the fighting pits, and she has to allow Yunkai to continue engaging in the slave trade and breeding slaves, etc., in peace, and she has to allow Yunkai to rebuild Astapor and turn it into a thriving slave city. Excuse me. So they're like, look, couple of concessions, but we'll leave you alone. Let us do our thing, and she reluctantly agrees. Now, whether this is a genuine pact that all the sides were gonna keep to is up for debate. Like, it's possible that they were doing some delaying tactics, and that actually the plan is to Yunkai were gonna break it anyway and attack. We don't know, but it kind of goes to shit during the incident at Daznak's pit. Bars unintentional. Drogon appears and spreads fire everywhere and ends up killing Yunkai zo Yunzak, so he burns to death, and Daenerys hops on Drogon and flies off like, fuck this noise. And so from the Yunkish perspective, they're like, okay, so the Queen's vanished, the Queen's largest and most dangerous dragon has vanished, and our Supreme Commander just got roasted and turned into a pile of ash. Okay, the war is on. So the war is now on. We are the stage is being set for the Battle of Fire. Yunkai want to take the city. However, we're not quite done. We're not yet able to jump into just exploring the battle itself. We need to look at the aftermath. So the aftermath of this is that Barristan, in part persuaded by the Shave Pate, Skarhazn Mokandak, he arrests Hizdahr zo Loraq, who's basically king at this point, throws him in prison, and is like, I, Barristan, I am now the hand of the king, the hand of the queen, ruling in Daenerys' absence, and I'm going to come up with a plan by myself to wipe out the massive army outside the city. I remember reading Daenerys' chapters in Meereen when I first read A Dance with Dragons, and they were my least favourite chapters of the book. I remember every time I turned the page and I'd see it said Daenerys, I would groan and be like, oh, and it would take me ages to slog through her chapters because they were so long, they were slow, they were filled with a bunch of stuff I didn't really understand. I wasn't super emotionally invested in anything. And of course, people will cope and be like, oh, that's the point, actually. It's deliberately boring and confusing because that's how Daenerys feels. And like, oh, okay, cool. So the author deliberately wanted the reader to feel confused and bored. Excellent. Bravo, George, you're a genius. Anyway, I wasn't a big fan, but I do remember thinking, damn, nothing is going her way. Like, the army outside Meereen is getting larger and larger. A bunch of sellswords have... Oh, yes, the Second Sons, ruled by Brown Ben Plum, switch sides and actually abandon her and side with the Slavers Alliance. They're like, bye. And you know, you have Carthene ships blockading, and she reaches out to different cities for help, and they send back her hostages' heads being severed and being like, fuck you, we're not going to side with you. Obviously, we're going to side with everyone else. So yeah, I do remember being like, damn, how could they get out of this? But we got to move on to, oh yes, this was meant to be the slide for me talking about the current status in Meereen. We'll talk, yeah, shout out Dario over there. See, okay, I will say this. So I try to make sure that when I draw my characters, they're as accurate as possible to the books. So yes, looking at existing fan art can be helpful, but I always make sure that I see how they are physically described, because there's a lot of fan art which is just incorrect. For example, so much Cersei fan art overwhelmingly gives her a red dress, both because of Cersei in the show constantly wearing a red dress until season 7 when everyone started wearing black non-stop, but also because red is the colour of House Lannister, red and gold. But Cersei is never described as wearing a red dress, ever. She never wears a red dress, I believe. She mostly wears green dresses, right? She wears a black morning gown with red rubies, and she wears a white cream dress and so on, but she mostly wears green to match her eyes, right? But if you type in Cersei fan art, it's mostly going to be red dresses, so you need to really dive into it. So for Dario, I was like, okay, so I know in the books he famously has blue hair and a blue three-forked beard and a golden moustache, which sounds stupid when you say it, but then you draw it and you're like, oh, I see the vision. But I wasn't sure what he wore. I was like, what does he wear armor? Does he wear like a generic? So when I dug into it, I saw the description of one of his outfits was literally a yellow doublet with like daffodils on it, embroidered on it, and I was like, wow, I don't remember that. I don't remember reading that description of Daario when I first read the books. I didn't know he had an absurd flowery doublet. Okay, then I'll do that then. So yeah, I'm not sure he's described as having an earring, but I did give him one. That was some artistic license there. But yes, I'm gonna check the chat, and then we're gonna dive into exploring both factions, Team Targaryen and Team Slaver. Oh, I need some water. Meereen has always been the blue city to me, Elliot said. It is kind of annoying just in terms of red city, yellow city, and then the final city doesn't have its own colour. It is like, ooh, that's kind of annoying. I kind of want it to have its own colour. If Dany is a historical reference to Abraham Lincoln, she'll get no-scoped by an Aegon supporter. Yeah, while attending a Bravosi play, she's going to get capped in the back of the head. Someone with a crossbow. A Talossi slinger is just going to... Oh, was it Benioff and Weiss who were like... In season 6, when Tyrion's negotiating with the slavers, they were like, we took inspiration from Abraham Lincoln with some stuff, and I can't remember. Man, season 6 Meereen is... Meereen in the books is not good. It's not well written. But Meereen in the show is diabolical. I mean, oh my god. Tyrion just sitting around doing nothing but being like, here's a joke about a fly in my wine or something. Oh god. Oh, it's making me angry thinking about season 6. Anyway. The sad historical truth about the liberation of slave societies is that the freedmen either don't have the experience and wherewithal to manage things themselves, or they just become as bad as the old masters. This Crossfire said that in the chat. I do like how post-slavery is explored in a Song of Ice and Fire. The issue's not explored super deeply, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's surface level necessarily. It's kind of in the middle. You know, you have like these cities being abandoned, and then new tyrants come in, or the older tyrants take power, or you have slaves who are like, I have nothing to do, I have nowhere to go. Some slaves being like, please let me willingly go back into slavery because that's my life. And yeah, not to get too deep into real life history, but obviously after the Emancipation Proclamation, you had a bunch of slaves go free, and it was like, okay, but they had difficulty getting jobs, and they had difficulty finding land to own, and it was there was a struggle there. It's a very sad, complex issue. Okay. Bum. Thank you for the super chat from Kelly Johnson, who says, will Pretty Maris have the highest kill count? Maybe. So Pretty Maris is a character in a member of the Windblown Sellsword Company. That's ruled by the Tattered Prince. The second in command is Kago Corpse Killer. Oh yes, by the way, having spoken about the fall of Astapor, the big final battle is a bunch of Astapori team up for one last push against the Yunkai, which obviously fails. But they put Cleon the Butcher's corpse in armor and on a horse, and they send him out so that he can act as a symbol of authority and, you know, morale and all that kind of thing. Strike fear into the enemy. But Kago, Corpse Killer, the Dothraki, slices him in half, and so he's called the Corpse Killer, which is a pretty cool name. But Pretty Maris is the torturer of the Windblown, I believe, and she's a very, very dark character. She's like missing her lips and her nose, and she's had her breasts cut off, and, you know, she's been tortured and R-worded load of times, and, you know, she's this cold shell of a human being. Or she's now a strong, independent woman, as Season 8 Sansa would say, because she's experienced that. So now, you know, she's glad she experienced that stuff. Anyway, yeah, no. In terms of her having the highest kill count, I mean, that remains to be seen. She's pretty scary. She's a pretty scary character. I think she's going to stick around. Yeah, she could do a lot of damage in the Battle of Fire, that's for sure. There's a good, I believe it's a Joe Magician video about how the Windblown are kind of like... Characters in the Windblown may represent how certain characters may have ended up had the 5-year time skip gone ahead. So Pretty Maris is like the dark future version of Brienne, and Kago Corpse Killer is like the dark future version of Sandor Clegane, I think, or something like that. I haven't watched that video in a while, but yeah, I'd recommend that one. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Sam in Book 3 is peak. Sam in Storm is cool, and then in Feast he's just kind of lame. Bum-ba-dum. Thank you for the super chat from Vanderman8, who says, I hate Germ more than Germ hates stairs. That's kind of harsh. That's a little bit harsh. Okay, thank you for the super chat from Ulrich Trant the Meister. Does that username keep going? I can't see the entire username. I can't actually see the entire username. Hold on a sec. Ulrich Trant the Maester of Milk. Oh my goodness. That's one hell of a name. Oh, I lost it. So ends our foes. Brackets, milked to death. And then a bunch of milk emojis. Sure, why not? Sure. This is where the fandom is at this point. I'll accept it. Ulrich Trant, the Maester of Milk. Your OC, I guess. An awesome fanfic OC who's a milk maester. Why not? George, give us wins. We're almost past the point of no return. We're not quite yet there. We've survived a lot. We've survived a horse. We survived time traveling fetus. We're surviving the milk memes that only seem to appear on my chat for some reason. I don't see them on Glidus's chat. I don't see them on Quinn's chat. It's only my chat that seems to be infested with milk emojis, but there we go. And thank you for the other super chat from Vanderman8, who says, are you interested in Dunk the Hunk's Chunky Spunk? Well, we'll have to see when A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms comes out later this year. Okay, well now that's enough faffing about. Now is time to break down the different factions, starting with the Targaryen faction. Oh, I do have a donation via Streamlabs. So for those who weren't here earlier, the Streamlabs donation is in the description. It's a way to send me money without YouTube like taking half or whatever they take. So that's always very helpful. Thank you. It's also from Vanderman. Thank you, Vanderman, who says, when is the Battle of Milk video dropping? Oh, for fuck's sake. I am this close to ending the stream, Vandal. I'm this close. Don't try me. The Battle of Milk. That sounds like... We're going to get Fire and Blood Part 2, and it's going to reference a Carthene battle. There's going to be like a small paragraph on one page that's going to reference a Carthene battle called the Battle of Milk, because they're the milkmen. Okay, again, I don't know why I have to keep saying this, but stop being annoying in the chat. Stop being deliberately edgy and provocative, because it's not... this isn't the channel for that. So, like... have the chat be about Song of Ice and Fire and what we're discussing. Otherwise, it's going to be annoying. Okay, so the Targaryen faction. So as I said, Daenerys is gone. She's missing. She's in the ether somewhere. Barristan Selmy is the hand. We have Barristan. He's the commander now. He's an expert knight. He's the man who killed Maelys Blackfire. Maelys the monstrous himself. What else? He's okay. No, I'm not going to break down the battle itself until after the faction. So like he has some fun plans going on. But you have Barristan. You have a bunch of knights and squires that he's been training. You know, there are some lads who he's specifically been training in swordplay and in Westerosi custom and so on. And he's leading, and he wants to lead them out into battle. So there's Tumco Low, there's the Red Lamb, there's Larak the Lash, who I think Larak the Lash is the one who disappeared in my video. If you remember, there's a couple of moments in my video which I spent so long on, and I double checked so many times. But there's a bit where I'm like, Barristan Squires are blah blah and Larak the Lash, and then no one appears on screen. There's another bit where I'm like, Grey Worm rules the Unsullied, or Grey Worm leads the Unsullied, and it's just like a blank wall. And the comments are roasting me like, where's Grey Worm? Why is he invisible? It's like, god damn it, how did I not add Grey Worm? Anyway. And so you've got Barristan, you've got his squires, you have the Unsullied, ruled by Grey Worm. Again, they're not slaves, they're a free army who are willingly supporting Daenerys. You could. There's certainly a debate to be made about how free they are. Where if their whole life is them being brutalized and raised in this horrific slave army, and that's all they know. That maybe they feel like they have no choice but to continue that lifestyle, because that's all their life is. But you have the Unsullied. You also have a bunch of free men who have formed their own companies. So these are free men from Astapor, from Yunkai, and from Meereen. You have Marcelin, who is the brother of Missandei. So he's Narthi. They're from the Isle of Narth. He rules the Mother's Men. They're the free company of the Mother's Men. That's named after Daenerys because, you know, Misa, mother, the Mother's Men. As the show once gloriously said, Misa means mother in Valyrian. Let's go. What else? There's Simon Stripeback, who rules over. Let me double check this. There are so many names. I'm being a bit halting at this point because I'm desperately trying to remember without checking the notes. But now I want to test myself. But I think I'm gonna check the notes. There are too many names. Simon Stripeback leads the Free Brothers Freed Company, and Tal Torak leads the Stalwart Shields Freed Company. Before Tal Torak, it's someone called what's his name? Let me double check. Oh, it's someone called Malono Yosdob, who dies of the Pale Mare, so then Tal Torak takes over. They're called the Stalwart Shields because they're presumably named after the Unsullied soldier called Stalwart Shield, who was slain by a son of the Harpy. Oh god, we haven't even talked about the Sons of the Harpy. There's so much to get through. Nah, we're good. And then of course, Daenerys also has Dothraki, but most of them are currently riding beyond the Skahazadhan River to hunt for Daenerys, to find her and save her. So there aren't that many Dothraki left. There are some old people. There are some old Dothraki who are elderly and young who are staying behind, but they're not the best of the best. They're not the cream of the crop. And in terms of sellsword companies, like I said, Ben Plum and the Second Sons, have already defected to Yunkai because they're like, look, the Yunkish army is larger and Daenerys has locked her dragons away, so I kind of don't want to be involved in this. So they've joined the Yunkai, and they have the Stormcrows still. So the Stormcrows are still with them. Dario's not leading them because he's a captive of Yunkai right now, and so the joint command has been taken over by, who is it? Oh, someone called Jockin and someone called the Widower. That's it. I didn't even check my notes for that. The video was only a couple of weeks ago, and all these annoying fucking foreign A Song of Ice and Fire names are like annoying me. God damn it, I'm trying to remember them all. Okay. So, yes. So, recap. You have Barristan, trained knight. He's been training some squires to join with him. You've got some old and young Dothraki in there. You've got some freed men who've made their own sellsword companies, stalwart shields, mother's men, and the Free Brothers. You've got the Stormcrows, not led by Dario, but led by the Widower and Jockin. You've got Grey Worm leading the Unsullied. And that is basically Team Daenerys. It's a ragtag group, kind of messy, kind of chaotic. Oh, I'm not even done. On top of that, you have the pit fighters. So all the pit fighters who, they are now free, but they still want to keep fighting in the pit. You know, they're powerful warriors. They don't necessarily like Daenerys and Barristan, but they do like Hizdahr Lorak because he persuaded Daenerys to open the fighting pit. So they're like, hey, we like that guy because this is our life. We want to do fighting pit stuff. And of course, just to wrap up, we have the Brazen Beasts. So the Brazen Beasts are kind of like, they're the city. Daenerys orders the Shave Pay to set up a city watch made up of natives, because the Unsullied kind of serve as the city watch. But the problem is, you have the Sons of the Harpy, who are, you know, masked guerrilla fighters, terrorists, assassins, etc., who are trying to take down Daenerys and so on. And she's like, okay, well, maybe having a former slave army as the city guard isn't really working. So, Shavepate, can you please put together a team of your own? So he establishes the Brazen Beasts, and they wear animal masks and like bronze armor, and they are the new City Watch. And now the Shavepate is Skarhaz Mokandak, who's a former noble. So unlike a lot of the nobility who are kind of like stewing in their pyramids, like, God damn Daenerys, I hope she gets overthrown, God, for fuck's sake, she's ruined everything. The Shavepate, for whatever reason, we don't really know his deep motivations, but he says, no, actually, long live Daenerys, I support Daenerys, I support the new system. Whether he genuinely believes this ideologically, like he believes in the abolition of slavery, or if he just sees where the wind is blowing and wants to secure power, he goes, either way, he says, I am now fully supporting Daenerys, and he shaves his head. Because the Giscari hairstyle is like, they have reddish black hair, which they tend to style into like horns and claws and wings and dragon heads and all crazy stuff. So what the Shavepate does is he shaves his head as an act of defiance. Like, I'm abandoning the old culture and I'm embracing the new regime, the new Targaryen regime. And so other nobles who think likewise and shave their heads are known as the Shavepates. And then he establishes the Brazen Beasts, and because Barristan wants to use the Unsullied in battle, he says, hey, I'm going to take most of the Unsullied, and the Brazen Beasts can man the walls and protect the city, because instead of going out to fight. And that, of course, puts the Shavepate in a hugely advantageous position, but we'll talk about that later. Now moving on to the Yunkish army. Okay, when I started talking about the Targ army, I did get distracted by the chat, I'm not going to lie. The reason why I was stumbling on my words a bit and trying to break it down, the chat was distracting me. This always happens. I get into a good flow and then I check the chat and then it all collapses. I'll tell you what, actually having a second monitor has been very helpful. Remember when I had one monitor? God damn. How did I even... Oh, some super chats. Thank you, Kelly Johnson, who says, you have upped your video production value. Thank you. That means a lot. Thanks for saying that. Yes, I've definitely... I mean, my art is the best it's ever been, and I'm experimenting with more stuff in my animation. It's still very simple animation style, but it does take a long time, so I do appreciate that a lot. Thanks. Thank you for the super chat. Another super chat from the one and the only Maester of Milk, who says, at this point, I am canon. Trant, milk emoji. Boltons or Trants in brackets? I don't even know what that question is, as in, do you want a LARP as a Trant or a Bolton? I'm going to say LARP as a Trant. There's not enough Trants in fanfic. Give them some love. All we know about is Meereen Trant, and he's a bit of a bastard. Too old. Thank you for the super chat from Pioneer10, who says, the Battle of Milk explained. Tormund, a giant Bane, leads the rescue at Hardhome. On their way back, they take a detour and fight the others at the Milkwater River. Thus the Battle of Milk begins. I'm not going to lie, I know it was said as a meme, but the more I see the phrase Battle of Milk, the harder it goes. Like, Battle of Milk? Ooh, I don't know. Whoa! I knocked over my mic. That's kind of cool, Battle of Milk. Is it the second episode of Season 8? Where Tormund just, like, he explains the whole bear story that he says in the books. And he, like, chugs a big horn of milk. Does he do that? Is it even milk? Was that a fever dream? Like, just before Brienne gets knighted in the show? I can't remember. Thanks for the super chat from 6demonbag17, who says, if you were Tyroshi, what colour would you dye your hair/beard? Lothar Brune S tier. That's a great question. Thank you. I get a nice mixture of shitposts and actual questions. It's a good balance. Lothar Brune S tier. Lothar Brune is a fun character. The apple eater. If I were Tyroshi, what colour would I dye my hair? Let me think. I don't have a beard, so I'm a clean-shaven boy. What are the popular Tyroshi hair colours? I'm looking this up. I'm going to take this question seriously. Colours such as blue, green, maroon, pink, purple, scarlet, and vermilion. Interesting. See, I feel like blue is kind of overdone. You know, blue hair is kind of overdone. Green hair, I don't think would look great. It kind of depends on the person. Pink hair, nah. Purple, now we're talking. Honestly, I'm kind of vibing with red. I don't like a dark red. If I were Tyroshi, I think I'd go with a dark red hair. I'd be looking like the main character of Squid Game at the end of season 1 with that red hair. That'll be me. That'll be me. Thank you again to Ulrich, the Maester of Milk, who says, the Battle of Milk will be when the Trans smite the vile followers of Daenerys the Dumb. All hail Aegon. The lore is too deep at this point. Someone needs to make a wiki. Alright. Yes, okay. Elias is giving context in the chat about the Tormund story. Tormund in Season 8 describes the tale of how he got strong because he drank giant's milk and then he devoured his beer. Yeah, but yeah, he talks about... Yeah. I think I merged the stories together, and so in my head I remember Tormund, like, downing a horn full of milk, and I was like, what the fuck? Can Haven grow a beard, or does he choose not to? Unfortunately, I can't grow a beard. It's the former. I'm a smooth boy. I'm like a turtle. Okay, shall we move on? I think we're going to move on to the Slavers Alliance. So the Slavers Alliance is made up of so many different factions, and we're going to break down all of them. Let's start with the Wise Masters of Yunkai. So initially, the Supreme Commander is Yunkai. So that's this guy. I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, actually. But that's this old man with a stooped shoulder on the screen. He is roasted by Drogon at Daznak's pit, as I've already said, and he dies. And so then the command of the army is rotated. They decide, okay, well, there's a whole bunch of wise masters with giant egos, so we're going to rotate command, and people can take it in turns ruling, which, of course, is ridiculous. You don't have a central authority. You don't even have a united army because there are so many sub-factions. And you're going to unite command among all these different narcissists who hate each other. Like, it's a recipe for disaster, to say the least. So after Yunkai, the command is passed over to this guy, Yazan Sokagaz on the left. He's known as the Yellow Whale. And he's very interesting. Because, you know, he's this, like, big, grotesque, fat man. He's dying of a disease that he caught after travelling to Sethorios. While he's he's Jabba the Hutt vibes, basically. While he's presented as large and grotesque, he is, and he's certainly a weirdo, don't get me wrong, but he's described as like the nicest slave owner. You know, like he doesn't treat his slaves badly. He has a grotesquerie full of his favorite slaves, basically like a little freak show. He has some people with some conditions and deformities, and he gives them collars that have little bells on so they tinkle when they move, and it's just, for him, it's almost like a pleasant little, oh look, my little circus, I have a cute tinkling little circus and they perform for me and it makes me feel happy. It's weird, but at least he doesn't abuse them that badly. So that's people like the goat boy, who apparently has super hairy legs, a bearded lady, oh, how's the stream doing? Okay, good. I was worried for a sec my stream had crashed, but I think it's just the app being weird. Yeah, that's the app being weird. We're still good? We're still good. So he has a bearded lady. He has a two-headed girl from Mantaris. Mantaris is a territory once held by the Valyrian Empire, and I think the idea is that it was kind of in the vicinity when the Doom of Valyria happened, and all we know about it is that it wasn't destroyed by the Doom, but it was affected by the Doom, and there's a two-headed girl from it. So some people say it might be a kind of a nod to Chernobyl, you know, where it's almost like the radiation from the Doom of Valyria has created deformities. But yeah, she's a soft-headed two-headed girl. Let me put up his entire grotesquerie, because I didn't want to draw Yazan. I didn't want to draw like his entire entourage for my video, because I was like, I've got too much to draw. You don't understand. I drew like 200 characters and assets and backgrounds for that video. You have no idea. Who's in his little? Yeah, he's got the goat boy, the bearded woman, two-headed girl from Mantaris. Yes, and he had a hermaphrodite lover called Sweets, who he sleeps with, which obviously isn't very nice because, you know, that's a slave. But Sweet seems to enjoy being valued and prized above the other slaves, and apparently, Yezan used to own a giant, and again, they say he's the nice maester, but apparently he used to watch. He used to own a giant, and he enjoyed watching the giant make love to women. And when I say giant, I don't mean Sandor Clegane. I don't mean the mountain. I don't mean tall people. I mean like 12-foot hairy ape creatures from the north. That's kind of messed up. You know, they didn't have deviant art back then, so Yazan wanted that shit in person. But then his giant died, and so he's been trying to buy a giant ever since. So he's kind of you know, he's into some spicy stuff. We can say, at the very least, we can say he's into some spicy stuff. And he purchases some new slaves at the end of Dance, that being Tyrion Lannister, because of course he's a dwarf, so Yazan adds him to the grotesquerie. Tyrion and Penny, and they do the little routine where they're like jousting each other, and Tyrion brings Jorah along because he feels sorry for him, and he's like, come on Jorah, you can join us. And they're like, we don't want Jorah. And he's like, oh no, Jorah's the part of the routine. He's meant to be the big ugly bear who tries to attack us, and I kick him in the nuts, or something like that. Yeah, but anyway, Yazan is also the smartest, the wisest of the wise masters, until unfortunately he dies, because he's already ill, and then the pale mare is spreading, and he dies of the pale mare, and that it enables Tyrion to be able to flee, which is quite important. But it means that the leadership moves from him to... Who's next? It moves from him to... Is it Pudding Face or Wobble Cheeks? I can't remember. No, it moves to... Okay, I'm just going to go through each of the Wise Masters at this point. Not necessarily in order, I'll just go through them. So, next to Yurkaz Zogunzak on the screen, we have Malaza, known as the Girl General. And she sees herself... She's described as... She sees herself as Yunkai's answer to Daenerys Targaryen. So she's basically like, who's this bitch? You know, I'm kind of like, you kind of imagine that she's got like on one side of her bedroom, she's got posters of Daenerys, and she listens to Daenerys songs, and she stands Daenerys on Twitter. But then on the other side of her bedroom, she's got like a big target board with Dany's face, and she throws darts at it. So she kind of loves her but hates her. She's like, oh yeah, you're a badass woman. Well, I'm a badass woman. I'm the Daenerys of Yunkai. And she is kind of a freak. In fact, they're all kind of freaks. This is what's weird, is that because they breed bed slaves, they all just seem to be like engaging in their specific fetishes, and you know, using human meat and human flesh to craft people through selective breeding, to craft people that they're interested in, and it's all really messed up. So like, her soldiers are like big, buff, handsome men. Basically, they're like toned, ripped men, looking like WWE wrestlers. They're roided up, and they're wearing loincloths, and they're holding shields that have like erotic designs on them. So it's all just kind of like, okay, so you've just bred and commanded a bunch of like buff, handsome, naked men. Okay, that's weird. Yeah. And if anyone is asking why I gave her such big titties, by the way, which of course made their way onto the thumbnail, I will credit her for most of that video's success. That is how she is described in the books. I make sure that my characters are designed to look like their book counterparts. She's described as being short with a thick waist and a heavy bosom. Boom, I did it. That's George being weird. That's not me. So what else do we have? So that's Malaza, the girl general. We also have the little pigeon, who is another... This is another person who needs to go to therapy. He's tiny. He's like 5 feet tall. He's a really tiny... He's not a dwarf or a little person. He's just really, really short. And he breeds really tall men and women. That's his shtick. He breeds tall men with tall women, and their offspring are bred to tall. And I think his slaves are like 7 to 8 feet tall, like the mountain level. So yeah, very short guy who seems to be, I guess, being tall vicariously through his slaves or something weird like that. And as if that's not bad enough, these tall slaves follow him into battle, and he makes them all wear stilts. So they're 8 feet tall people on giant stilts, and they're nicknamed the Herons, and they're like waddling around. It's absurd. It's one of those like, it makes the Meereenese plot hard to kind of care about because it's so silly. Like, I know it's intentionally meant to be silly. Like, Tyrion thinks to himself, what's going on here? You have like tall people on stilts, and you have slaves chained together, and it's absurd. But like, it's almost too absurd to the point where like I'm not believing it anymore, so I'm kind of having difficulty being invested in it. Vito in the chat said, so they're all Discord mods. Yes, the Wise Masters of Yunkai are basically Discord mods. We've also got... what else do we have? We have the Clanker Lords. So those are Chezhar Zorezin, Maison Zorazin, and Grazdan Zorazin. And they're called the Clanker Lords because they came up with the ingenious idea of having all of their slaves chained together to stop them from running away. Yep, you heard that right. They're all chained together. They're at the very back because they take ages to move. Yeah, it's dumb. If one of them falls, they're all gonna fall. It's really stupid, and horrific. There's also Lord Wobblecheeks, who is... And again, by the way, stuff like the Girl General, the Pigeon, Lord Wobblecheeks, the Yellow Whale, these nicknames are not Yunkish. I didn't clarify that in a video. These nicknames are from the Windblown. So the Windblown, these are sellswords from the Free Cities and from Westeros. They are giving the Wise Masters, like, derogatory nicknames, like, to make fun of them. You know, they're not going around being like, I'm the little pigeon. No, that's the, you know... So, what else do we have? Yeah, Lord Wobblecheeks, probably called that because he's fat. The Drunken Conqueror, Pudding Face, the Rabbit, who is small and rabbity. I gave him little buck teeth in my thing. The Charioteer, the Beastmaster, the Perfumed Hero, a whole bunch of... a crazy assortment of people. It was fun drawing them, because some of them are described and others aren't, so I just had to draw them based on their vibe from their nickname. So, like, the Rabbit, I was like, yeah, he's going to be small with little rabbit teeth. Lord Wobblecheeks, I made him fat. The Drunken Conqueror, I gave him kind of like drunk eyes. The Charioteer, I put him on a chariot. The Beastmaster, I gave him like claw hair. The Perfumed Hero, I made him handsome and gave him like a little pot of perfume to spray himself with. Yeah, the drawing can be fun. Okay, so that's the Wise Masters of Yunkai, but that's the main section of the Slavers Alliance. Oh, they've also got 6 trebuchets. They have 6 trebuchets. Let me find the names for you. And the trebuchets are, well, we'll go into that later. But the name of the trebuchets are, there we go, I found it. Dragonbreaker, the Ghost of Ow, ooh. I just got hit by a trebuchet. I think I pulled something in my neck. Ow. Anyway, Dragonbreaker, the Ghost of Astapor, the Harpy's Daughter, the Harridan, Mazdan's Fist, and the Wicked Sister. Pretty cool names. So, as well as all of these Yunkish slave soldiers and their crazy leaders, we have a bunch of sellsword companies who've been hired. So, there's, as I said before, the Windblown, ruled by the Tattered Prince. The Tattered Prince was a former merchant, a magister, I think, in Pentos. So what they do in Pentos is you have a bunch of magisters who are super powerful, and they elect a prince of Pentos, which is kind of a ceremonial position, and that prince is seen as responsible for things going well and things going poorly. So, for example, if Pentos gets into a war and loses or experiences a famine or something like that, then the prince is ritualistically sacrificed and a new prince is elected. So the Tattered Prince was named Prince of Pentos. He said, fuck that, I don't want that. And he fled and he became a sellsword and served in various companies, including maybe the Golden Company. But eventually he set up his own, the Windblown. And as I've said before, Kago Corpse Killer, burly Dothraki man who cut down Cleon the Butcher's corpse, is his right-hand man. And there's also, what's his name? Darrow the Warrior Bard? Not Darrow. Darbo the Warrior Bard, who's this old man with a lute, a warrior bard who comes up with poems and songs. And there's Pretty Maris, who's the company torturer, who again is this very cold, hard, sociopathic shell of a woman who's been abused her whole life. So they're kind of scary. They're pretty scary. And their rivals have also been hired by Yunkai. The Company of the Cat, ruled by Bloodbeard, who's just a guy with a big red beard. That's a great name. That must be one of my favourite names. Bloodbeard. Yes, thank you. The warrior bard is called Denzo Dan. Thank you, James, in the chat. So yes. Fantasy Haven body breaking down at 26. How do you remember I'm 26? Sometimes people say shit and I'm like, how do you know this? Yeah, so the Company of the Cat and the Windblown are rivals because they both fought in the Disputed Lands. So you have Mir and Lys and Tyrosh who are constantly fighting over territory. Called the Disputed Lands. Windblown and Company of the Cat were on other sides, so they kind of developed this hatred of each other. But they're now working for the same side. They're working for Yunkai. And Bloodbeard is particularly brutal. He beheads one of the hostages that he took from Meereen, that being Dany's admiral called Grolio. He cuts off his head, dumps him in front of Hisdar's head, in front of Hisdar, and Barristan is like, "We've killed one hostage. Fuck you." And his most diabolical act, I think, is he says to the wise masters here, "I have an idea. You have a bunch of people in your camp dying of the bloody flux. Put their bodies on the trebuchets and fire them into the city so that the flux spreads throughout the city and then everyone dies." And they start throwing, but biological warfare, basically. Medieval biological warfare. Pretty horrific. And I'd say the least interesting... Oh, yes, and they've hired the second sons, as I said, Brown Ben Plum. He's like half Summer Islander, half Dothraki, and he has all kind of different ethnicities and backgrounds in his past. Apparently he's a member of House Plum from the Westerlands in Westeros. Maybe that's true, maybe it's bullshit. Either way, he's the captain and he switches sides. He's like, I'm going to be with the Yunkai, the Yunkish forces. And then the final and most boring of the sellsword companies on on the slavers' side is the Long Lancers, who are just knights on horseback with lances, and they're ruled by Gylo Regan, who apparently is kind of he's quite soft-spoken and murmuring, and he doesn't inspire much confidence. Now, you have the Yunkish forces, and you have the sellswords, but you also have the various cities that they've reached out to. Because obviously, if you're a slave city, if you're engaged in the slave trade, and this upstart girl starts overthrowing the slave system, you're going to be like, fuck that, we need this for our economy. All right? They don't care about the lives of those individuals. They're like, we need this for our economy. So they're going to join forces to try to tear her down. So they get support from Karth, who send a Karthine fleet to block Yunkai to the west and also to the north via the Skahazadhan River. And they also send their camel corps. I don't know much about that, but they're just warriors on camels. That's kind of crazy. They also reach out to the city of Illyria, and they get Illyrian crossbowmen. They reach out to the city of Tolos, and they get Tolosi slingers. Now, in my live stream, in my Battle of Fire video, controversially, I drew the slingers as having, like, slingshots. In my head, I imagine, like, slingshots with metal balls that were being pulled back and fired at people. And people in the comments were like, no. It doesn't mean slingers like that. Slingers, it's a reference to, I'm sure someone in the chat can remind me, that there's a historical reference, and, like, they're very deadly. Like, they will tear people apart. Metal balls in these slingers. But, yeah, someone remind me what the historical parallel is there. So I can, yeah. But yes, and of course, New Gis, or as we have here christened it, New Geese. Shout out to Geese. They've sent 6 legions. Like the Giscari legionaries are probably the greatest warriors in the Slavers Alliance. They're like proper, like, you know, hardcore Roman style legions. There are 2 to the south of Meereen, and 2 to the east of Meereen, and 2 to the north of Meereen. We don't know of any new Giscari commanders in charge of any of them. It seems like every single faction has a commander apart from New Gis. And as if that's not crazy enough, we're nearly there. We've also got Karth. Oh, sorry, I said Karth. We've also got the Dothraki. They're looking potentially to hire a Dothraki Khalasar to support them. We know that Carl... which one is it? Carl Jacko? There's a certain Carl who commands a Khalasar of 20,000 that's to the north of the Skahazadhan, and they might be trying to, like, hey, come help us. Yeah, so there we go. Pretty crazy. Oh, how could I forget? Elephants. Eat your heart out, Cersei Lannister. The Giscari, the forces of New Gis, as well as having legionaries, they have war elephants. Let's go. Thank you for the super chat from Brady Myers, who says, 12-foot hairy ape creatures in the north? So great, John. Hey. There's a reason why the Umbers have giants in their sigils. Giant blood, baby. The Umbers are giants through and through. They got a drop of blood in them. And their ancestors were being watched by by the yellow whale in the corner, sitting in the cuck chair, no doubt. Okay, yeah, so I think I have run down all the different factions. Now we have to move on to... Oh, the wild cards. I nearly forgot. We're nearly done. The wild cards, before we move on to the battle itself. So the wild cards are all those characters who are just coming in out of nowhere. We have Victarion Greyjoy and Mokoro. So let's take a step back for a moment. Euron Greyjoy becomes the king of the Iron Islands. He styles himself king of the Iron Islands and the North, because Balon took some territory in the North, but Euron doesn't really care much about it, but he likes the title, I guess. And he says, hey Victarion, here's what I want you to do. I want you to sail the Iron Fleet all the way to Slavers Bay. I want you to use a dragon horn to bind a dragon to my will, and I want you to propose a marriage between Daenerys and myself. You can propose that on my behalf. and then come back to me with Daenerys and her army and her dragons, and then I will be king of everyone with a dragon queen or whatever Euron's crazy ass plan is. Hell yeah. Oh, I can't wait to make the real Euron. I'm so hyped for that video. Anyway, and so Victarion's on his way to Slaver's Bay with a dragon binder horn, which leads us on to another wild card, which is, the dragons themselves. Drogon and Daenerys are missing, but Rhaegal and Viserion have been freed from captivity, because Daenerys got scared because they burned a child and ate it, and she was like, shit, I can't control them, I'm going to lock them away because I can't have the city turning against me. They are accidentally freed by Quentyn Martell, which we need to rewind again. Long story short, Doran Martell, hey, Arianne, you're going to marry Viserys Targaryen and we'll get revenge on the Lannisters. Oh no, Viserys Targaryen died. Okay, Quentyn, you're going to marry Daenerys Targaryen. We'll have an alliance. We'll destroy the Lannisters. Go. So he sends Quentyn on a fun little expedition, which definitely isn't a massive waste of time. And, you know, it's not like I wanted a Dance with Dragons to end with actual battles and conclusions and climaxes. No, I wanted Quentyn's story. Anyway, Quentyn goes there and says to Daenerys, hey, marry me. But Daenerys is like, nah, you're ugly. And he's like, shit. So instead he goes, well, I'm going to prove that she should marry me because I'm going to ride one of her dragons, because I'm a Martell, which means I have a drop of dragon blood in me. I'm descended from Marin Martell and Daenerys Targaryen, the original Daenerys, the sister of King Daeron II, that Daenerys. So Quentyn is like, I'm going to ride you, and then the dragons are like, lol, no, and they burn him, and he does die. Some people be huffing the copium, no. Quentyn is absolutely dead, rest in peace. And the dragons are free. The dragons are flying free over Meereen. So you have the dragon wildcard, you've got Victarion and his Ironborn trying to seduce Daenerys on behalf of Euron, even though Victarion hates Euron and wants to betray him, and they have a horn which may bind dragons. It might also knock down the wall. We don't know what the fuck is going on. Also, Moqorro, the Black Flame. So on the right we have Moqorro, who's this huge red priest from Volantis, and he's the second in command of Benero. So Benero is the high priest. He's the high priest of the Lord of Light, right, of R'hllorism, and he sends his right-hand man Moqorro to find Daenerys, because the faith officially believes that Daenerys is Azor Ahai, basically. They believe that Daenerys is the princess that was promised, Azor Ahai. She's going to save the world from the Long Night. Melisandre thinks it's Stannis because she's reading the flames wrong, basically. But the official, the high priest is like, nah, it's Daenerys. So Moqorro's going to go over and talk to Daenerys and maybe convert her into being a crazy fire-worshipping theocrat or something. I don't know. As if it can't go any weirder for Dany and her allies. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, so you have Moqorro, and to top it off, you have Marwyn the Mad Mage on the left. So Marwyn is a mastiff of a man. He, unlike the kind of, the weak-chinned, nerdy grey rats that are the Maesters, Marwyn is like a bulldog of a man. He's a mastiff. He's nicknamed the Mastiff. And he's the Archmaester of the Higher Mysteries. And he's like, I need to meet Daenerys. I need to talk to Daenerys. We don't really know what his plan is. We don't know why he wants to talk to her. But he's off to find her too. He might arrive during the battle. Maybe he'll arrive after. But either way, Dany is building up a crew of Ironborn captains and Red Priests and crazy maesters and kinslaying dwarves and all kind of shit. It's nuts, but I'm looking forward to it. And it is coming. Don't take the black pill, it's coming. Preston just can't admit Gurm was really dumb for introducing Quentyn. Preston simultaneously does that thing that certain fans do, where it's like, they love a series, but they do nothing but kind of roll their eyes and criticize it all the time, as if they don't like it. I used to have a friend who will soup it into a Song of Ice and Fire, but whenever we discussed it, all he would do was critique it, and we were like, do you even like this? Because you just seem to say bad things about it. But it's like, no, I do like it. But on the other hand, Preston also whenever there's something that doesn't quite add up, it has to be something deeper. So I think the Quentyn storyline is dumb, and if you're reading, and if you're like, well, his storyline ending where it ends is stupid, so therefore he has to be alive, I think you're giving too much credit. I think the Quentyn thing was a ponderous, meandering side quest that wasn't necessary, but he was being self-indulgent and his editors weren't being strict enough. I think it's that simple. I think Preston does the same thing when talking about Rhaenyra's bastards, where he's like, it doesn't make sense that all 3 of them are bastards. How did she make that mistake 3 times in a row? It's really risky. They have dark hair because of Rhaenys, etc. And it's like, yeah, they're also described as having pug noses, like Harwin Strong. They are so blatantly meant to be Harwin's bastards, it's not even funny. Is it kind of logically silly that she would... Yes, it is, but that's kind of a Gurm problem, right? But yeah. Shout out Preston, man. Thank you for the super chat from Vandalman again. Thanks, Vandalman. Who said, look... Oh, wait, hold on. I'm going to have to do this in the accent. Love me shade of the evening. Love me reaving. Love me brother's wife. Simple as. There we go. Euron FC. Real Euron. Oh, it's coming. I might rewatch the Alt-Shift X Euron video to prepare myself. Thank you for the super chat from Pioneer 10, who says, the sun's son still lives. Preston's word is law. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I'll be proven wrong in September the 21st, 2025, when The Winds of Winter was officially released, and and chapter 1 is Quentyn. Chapter 1 is the sun's son. And everyone goes, oh! Glider's stuffing the pages in his mouth like, argh. Alright, let's continue, shall we? Biggest consequence of Quentyn's death will be Dawn pledging allegiance to Aegon and not Dany. Yeah, I guess, but you could have them pledging allegiance to Aegon without the Quentyn thing. You know? Anyway. Moving on, we have a recap of the various sides all together. So, in Meereen, we have... This isn't even a proper screenshot, there should be more. Anyway, never mind. In Meereen, we have Barristan, we have his squires, we have the pit fighters, we have the Stormcrows, we have the Stalwart Shields and the Free Brothers and the Mother's Men and the Brazen Beasts. And then outside we have the Wise Masters of Yunkai and their grotesque assortment of slaves. We have the Windblown, we have, led by the Tattered Prince, we have Bloodbeard leading the Company of the Cat, we have Gylo Regan leading the Long Lances, we have Brown Ben Plum leading the Second Sons, we have Illyrian crossbowmen, we have Telossi slingers, we have 2 Giscari legions to the south, 2 Giscari legions to the east, and 2 Giscari legions to the north. We have war elephants, we have Carthene camel corps, we have Carthene ships and Yunkai ships blockading the city, and Volantene ships are also on their way because Volantis recently elected the Tigers, and the Tigers are more warmongering. There we go. How is the war gonna go down? So we have some sample chapters. Again, they're not canon technically, they could be scrapped, etc, etc, but this is what we have so far. A couple of the sample chapters we full on have like their transcripts, and others we have like notes from people who heard Gurm read it out loud, and we don't actually have like we don't have any recordings or anything to make a direct transcript of. But what we do have is Barristan 1, which I actually read on another live stream, and then we have the notes for Barristan 2. So what happens is Barristan says, here's my plan. I'm gonna send some free companies out of the Eastern Gate to attack the 2 legions to the east. I'm going to send some legions up north. Sorry, some free men up north to attack the Giscari legions up north. Down south, I'm going to charge out with some Dothraki and with some sellswords from the Stormcrows on horseback, my squires on horseback, and the pit fighters. Oh, sorry. No, all of the horseback people, we're going to come out and we're going to charge towards the trebuchets, or one of the trebuchets, and we're going to cause chaos behind it, and we're going to basically punch a hole through the enemy and cause chaos. So we're going to knock over trebuchets, we're going to burn tents down, we're going to free hostages, we're going to kill officers, specifically try to kill wise masters, and maybe the slaves will flee, etc., etc. And meanwhile, the pit fighters will come on foot, they will charge into the breach we've made, they will go crazy as well, and then we're all going to retreat. And all this, not only will it, cause chaos, etc., cause things to break down, but also it'll be a giant distraction from the Unsullied, who are busy leaving out the gate, forming up and marching forwards, right? Because while forming up, they're a bit vulnerable. But luckily, the Yunkish forces are unprepared, unprofessional, and the sun is in their eyes. So, Barristan gives a big speech in the first Barristan chapter, and he's ready to charge out. The second Barristan chapter, no transcript, but we have some notes. Apparently, he's charging forward, he changes his plan at the last second. Because they're charging to the trebuchet, but it's protected by a Ghiskari Legion. And they're like, okay, the Ghiskari Legions are the most trained enemy. We can't risk just charging into them. So, we're going to swerve to the side. We're going to swerve, baby. So they swerve instead to attack the herons, because obviously they are giant goofy motherfuckers on stilts. So they just knock over the herons. I think Tumco Low, or the Red Lamb, or one of his squires, smashes the little pigeon's head in with a mace, kills him. They attack the chained slaves, or the clanker slaves, who obviously flee and fall over and everything, and that causes chaos. And yeah, it's going well. Barristan's like, oh my god, we might actually win this. And as if that's not crazy enough, the Ironborn arrive, and Victarion go, wait, hold on, we're trying to bring Daenerys onto our side, meanwhile their city's being attacked, we're going to help out. So the Ironborn break through the blockade and land and start charging in to attack the sellswords and help Daenerys. This is Vicky's plan. So Victarion's plan is, whoop, our fleet's arrived, we've commandeered some merchant vessels along the way, we're going to send a bunch of merchant vessels up to the blockade. They won't think it's a risk, they're just going to stop the ships and be like, turn around please. But then, boom, from under the deck, a bunch of hardcore veteran reavers and raiders will charge up, board the enemy ships, cause chaos, and then the Ironborn come in and break through the breach and then jump onto the shores, etc., etc. Meanwhile, Victarion's going to stay on the ship and blow the horn and try and bind a dragon. To what extent, I don't know. It could go various different ways. Maybe he will bind a dragon and it will be bound to him, and he'll be like, yes, I shall ride a dragon, and Victarion will ride the dragon into battle. I think, what is it? It's Viserion is currently camping on a pyramid, but Rhaegal is flying over the Ironborn battle over sea. So literally over the Ironborn ships. Or it could be the Victarion, because it's like the dragon is bound to the horn's master, which is technically Euron. So the horn could be blown, and then the dragon's like, okay, I'm now bound to Euron. And I know, it could be that like Rhaegal's docile until Euron appears. Like maybe Euron's hiding and has been following Victarion this entire time and then seizes the dragon. Or it could be that Rhaegal makes it to Westeros and he's acting normal, but he's like, my master is nearby, and then flies over to Euron. Or maybe the horn is blown, and Viserion goes, then Rhaegal goes, Euron's my master, where's he? Oh, he's on the other side of the world. Fuck it, I'm going to fly to him, and then he just flies all the way to Euron, maybe. Or the horn just causes madness. The dragons try to resist, and you have Rhaegal and Viserion just destroying the battlefield, burning both sides, nuclear warfare is just chaos, right? Or it could be the horn's a bunch of horseshit and doesn't actually do anything. Maybe they're like, well, the dragons aren't coming to us, but did anyone else hear a giant ice wall collapse? Did anyone hear that? Like the muffled sound of ice breaking and the White Walkers come through? I don't know. It's hard to know, because like, I mean, we know from those notes from Feast before Feast for Crows was split into 2 books. It was, back when the time skip was a thing. There was a little note George made that was like Victarion dies. There was like meant to be a chapter where Victarion dies, right? But other people like Quinn and Gem have theorized that actually George may have changed his mind and is like, actually, he likes Victarion and he wants Victarion to be a major character, and so Victarion's actually going to live and will be Dany's advisor or whatever. I don't know. What are people's Horn theories, actually? Let's read through the Horn theories in the chat. Yeah, I also wish we had Barristan 2 in full. But we're going to get Barristan 2 in full. We're going to get it. This year. Wins 2025, baby. Maybe Rhaegar will bond to Victarion until he gets close to Euron. It'll work like a lease. Ah, I see. Rhaegar becomes Vic's dragon, but then when he gets close to Euron, he abandons him. I don't know. I don't know about that. See, there's the classic thing, right, about Moqorro's like, I see great things for you in the flames. And it's like, well, you're a red priest. So when you see great things for Victarion, does that mean he's going to ride a dragon? Does that mean he's going to be a powerful advisor to Daenerys? I mean, Groleo has been beheaded. Daenerys needs an admiral. Is Victarion going to be her new admiral, maybe? Or does great things mean fire because you're a red priest? Is Victarion gonna get burned to a crisp by the dragons? I don't know. According to David Lightbringer, Victarion's soul may go into Viserion, allowing Euron to bond to the dragon. What the fuck? Hey, shout out to your 5-month-old baby, Tim. He enjoys the videos in the background. Awesome. In 2022, George said he was still writing about Victarion. That is true, yeah. Yeah. I agree that Victarion was just meant to be like a sacrificial lamb, and then George must have been like, this guy's fun. Let's make him... If in 2022 he was still doing Victarion, I think Victarion's like her... Victarion is her admiral, I think. Someone else said Victarion blows the horn, the dragon gets bound to him. Whoop, I lost it, there we go. And his blood. Victarion dies, and then the dragon will see people related to Victarion's See, here's the thing, though. Victarion himself is not going to blow the horn. Because at the King's Moot, Euron has one of his mute crew members called Cragorn blow the horn. Cragorn's horn. And then Cragorn dies a few days later with burnt lungs, right? So Victarion knows if you blow the horn yourself, you're going to die. So he's going to have a thrall do it for him. It's just that whoever is the master of the horn is the one who is bound, not the person who blows the horn. So Victarion's like, I'm the master, but maybe Euron's the master? It's hard to know. I kind of like the idea that Euron had a plan to fuck over Victarion, but it's being scuppered because Victarion found Moqorro, and Moqorro's like, don't worry, I'm protecting you. Don't worry, I'm giving you my own magical prophecy shit. Ignore Euron stuff. You've got some R'hllor stuff. The horn... Wait, hold on. The horn will bind the true dragon Viserys Targaryen as a firewhite to Victarion. Viserys Targaryen, white. Burning red eyes, golden crown. Shuffling all his way to Meereen. Victarion jumps on his back. He's like, let's go. Fly for me. Just Harry Lloyd flapping his arms. Rhaegar flies to Euron, then Aegon kills him and takes it, and that's how Aegon gets a dragon. Ooh. That is interesting. That very much sounds like a I've written myself into a corner thing, though. You know what I mean? Oh shit, I have a pretender to the throne and I need him to ride a dragon so we can have Dance of the Dragons 2.0. But how can he get a dragon? I know, what if an Ironborn guy summons him and then Aegon interferes halfway through? It's kind of messy. I like the idea, but it's kind of messy. Hey, I'm all for crazy theories. I'm all for crazy theories. The only thing that annoys me about the fandom and certain theorists is when they present their theories as... They smugly present their theories as fact and get annoyed that other people don't agree with them. It's like, if you're going to have a crazy theory, have fun with it and just say, this is crazy and probably not true, but I'm having fun with the source material. Coming up with batshit stuff and being like, I'm correct, you're dumb. It's like, well, you're kind of coming across as a prick. And we'll find out soon enough, because Winds is coming out. I'm telling you now, it's coming out. Okay, what else is going on with the battle? What else? What else do we have? So, further to the south, Tyrion escapes the Yellow Whale, because he dies. And he makes his way to the camp of the Second Sons, and Brown Ben Plum is there. And Tyrion's like, what's up, man? What's up, my G? I'm Tyrion Lannister. I want to meet Daenerys. Could you side with Daenerys and help destroy the Yunkish forces, please? And Ben Plum's like, what's in it for me? And Tyrion's like, haha. Well, a Lannister always... Excuse me. I completely ruined that. Let me set the scene again. A Lannister always pays his debts. And so he writes down a little thing being like, sign this for me and you will get... I think it's Brown Ben Plum and all of the leaders of the Second Son, so like the Paymaster and the second in command, who's a Bravosi who wears a pink doublet called Casporio the Cunning. And they all sign a document that's like, you will get a bunch of gold, you'll get a bunch of land, you'll get a lordship in Westeros, etc., etc. Awesome. Cool, get this. And Brown Ben Plum is like, okay, that's cool. But the thing that probably turns the tide is learning about how the Yunkish front is collapsing, and also when he discovers that the dragons are flying in the air. Because the whole point is that because Daenerys locked the dragons up, he was like, I don't want to side with you because you're not willing to use your big weapons, and now you have the disadvantage. Now that he knows the dragons are flying, in his mind, he's probably like, oh, Daenerys has freed the dragons, she means business, I'm going to side with her, the Yunkish force is collapsing into chaos and madness. So Brown Ben Plum is like, I am now officially switching sides, and the Second Son's Sellsword Company is joining Team Barristan and Team Targaryen. And he turns to his people and he's like, it was a ruse all along. I was always a Daenerys supporter and I was tricking the Yunkai. And it's like, that's bullshit, but oh well, I respect it. And you know, he's being bossed around and being given different instructions. Like, one wise master is like, I want you to attack the Ironborn. Another one's like, no, attack defend the Trebuchet, etc., etc. Excuse me. Oh, I think Tyrion poisoned me with those mushrooms from Illyria's garden. Hold on. I'm just going to keep myself hydrated. So. Yeah, and so the Second Son switch sides. We know that Barristan's doing well. We know the Ironborn are landing and attacking the Slavers Alliance. We know that Marcelin and the Mother's Men, the Free Company, attacks the Long Lancers. So they're the lanced men on horseback. Attacks them and actually destroys them. They're actually destroyed, successfully broken. So that's one Sellsword Company down. It's all going to shit for the Yunkish, to be honest. And as if things weren't bad enough, the Tattered Prince and... Who else? Yes, the Windblown, that's it. The Tattered Prince and the Windblown are like, fuck this. We are also joining the side of Daenerys and Barristan and Meereen. Screw this. We're joining their side. Let's go. And they kill... I think Lord Wobblecheeks, who's currently the commander, they slay him, and they're like, fuck you, and then they join Daenerys. Now, it's because the tide is turning, but it's also because the Company of the Cat are their rivals, but it's also because Barristan sent some envoys to him to be like, hey, hear us out. If you join our side now, we will help you take over Pentos. Kind of a random deal to strike, but there we go. So that's what we know so far of the battle. I'm going to turn to the chat and say, How do you think the battle's going to end? And also let me know in the comments after this is live. How is the battle going to end? It can end in a variety of ways, right? I'll let your ideas stream in. Let me just check Streamlabs. A donation from Vandalman. Thank you very much for the Streamlabs donation. If I sent you a Ziploc bag or Tupperware container full of white liquid with milk shoddily sharpied on the safe, would you drink it? Add it to some tea or coffee maybe. You wouldn't pour it down the sink, surely, right? Listen, if I ever received a Tupperware container full of white substance, I know that shit's come straight from Lysa, because that's going straight down the drain. I know that shit's come straight from the Eyrie. I know it's sour. I know Sweet Robin's at the window trying to break in. I'm like, no, this is going down the sink. This is going down the sink right now. So, in the chat, throw me your ideas. Tell me what you think about the how this battle will end. Let me just double check something for a sec. I'm always paranoid that I've missed out a super chat. I always end up missing one by accident every stream. I feel bad. Yeah, no, we're good. Okay, so best case scenario for Team Targaryen, aka for the reader. I don't know. There might be someone who's reading the books and is siding with Yunkai. There might be a sociopath out there for sure. But anyway, Team Targaryen, the best case scenario is they win. Barristan wins. They kill all the Wise Masters. The slaves rise up and defeat the Wise Masters. The Company of the Cat is destroyed. Bloodbeard is slain by his rival, the Tattered Prince. The legions are destroyed. The elephants flee. The Ironborn defeat the ships. And yes, everything goes awesome. Barristan returns to the city. We defeated Yunkai. They wait for Daenerys. Daenerys comes back, and they're like, good stuff. But it's a bit too obvious is the issue, right? Like it's leading to a victory, and George does do that thing, which has become a bit of a trope now, where a character will think about doing something, or will explain a plan, or will feel a certain way about something, and then it doesn't happen, which is cool initially, but the more he does it, the more obvious it becomes. So I remember the bit where it hit me, and I've mentioned this before in my live stream. Stop spamming in the chat, please. Let other people's ideas come in. One of the ideas I've talked about is, one of the sections I've talked about, is when Sam's travelling to Old Town with Gilly and Maester Aemon, etc. And he's like, all we have to do is get Maester Aemon to Old Town, and then he can spend the rest of his days drinking in his favourite taverns in the sun, and then he'll pass away peacefully, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of, and then I read that and I was like, oh, so I guess Maester Aemon's going to die soon, because why would you, establish this thing? It's not going to happen. And then Maester Aemon died the next chapter, and it was like, either the next chapter or that chapter. And I remember being like, you kind of spoil his death by emphasising how all you need to do is do this one thing and it'd be amazing. Oh no, it didn't happen. Expectations subverted, So because Barristan is thinking to himself, oh, the battle's going really well. Oh my god, this is going better than I thought in that sample chapter. And oh, we need to do this and that. It's like, is it going to be that simple that he just wins? That they just win? The good guys win? I don't know. I think it's going to go chaotic. Is it that they win, but the dragons go wild and burn everyone, and it's a Pyrrhic victory? Or are the slavers going to get the upper hand and win? I don't agree with that. I don't think the slavers are going to get the upper hand. I think, yeah. I think Barristan and the Targaryen team will absolutely succeed, but it could just end up being really messy, really bloody. Or it could be the aftermath is tragic, not the battle itself. So, excuse me. Because they are the underdogs. So the underdogs winning, of course, would be pretty cool. And maybe they're like, hey, we did it. And then they march back to Meereen, dun dun dun. Let us in. And then, as I mentioned in my video, the Shave Pate, he's accumulated power. He's purged his rivals. He commands the Brazen Beast, who are the new City Watch. He can just be like, I'm in charge now. Daenerys is gone. Fuck off. And he just keeps the gates shut. And there's some theories that Barristan will start losing and will flee to Meereen, and the gates will be shut and they won't be let in and they're all going to get massacred. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Daenerys' armies are all going to be wiped out. I think she's slowly building a ragtag army over time, and getting rid of them now feels like a waste. A waste of potential and a waste of all our time as readers. But I can see a situation where they win. Like I said in the video, they win, they return, and then they get betrayed. Or Barristan specifically gets betrayed. Because Barristan won. There's the big. Honestly, I'd say the big theory about Barristan is that he dies in battle. But I feel like he can't die in battle because, one, it's too obvious. And two, he keeps thinking about it. He keeps being like, oh yes, dying in battle, that would be a way to go, right? He wants to die in battle. That's how he'd want to go out. So if he just got a badass death, it would be like, cool, but you kind of, you know, there's a difference between foreshadowing and having a big neon sign flashing over the character's head being like, they are going to die soon. So him dying in battle, I don't see. I can see him being betrayed from behind by the pit fighters who are secretly working for Hisdar. But honestly, I quite like the idea of they're victorious, they return, Barristan's like, okay, I'm going to continue ruling, and King Shavepate is like, oh, well, I run this town now. I run the city now. I thought you were going to die, not going to lie. You won, that's cool, but you're dead. And then what we're going to have is Barristan unceremoniously getting killed in an alleyway by the Brazen Beasts. And then maybe D&D heard this, and so when they did the show, they had him get shanked in an alleyway by Sons of the Harpy. So maybe that some inspiration was there. Someone in the comments of my video was really pissy with me, being like, why do you theorists keep saying that Barristan needs a cynical death? That says a lot about you, doesn't it? And I'm like, shut the fuck up, what are you talking about? Very weird. Someone said, why are you so certain that Selmy will die? Just because George has so many POVs and he said he has to keep killing them, and like Barristan kind of serves as the POV for Meereen because no one else is there, but you have Tyrion arriving and you have Victarion arriving and you have Daenerys returning at some point, so like he's not necessary. He could live. Barristan could live and then continue to serve on Dany's team. I kind of like that Dany's team is getting weirder and more esoteric and villainous, so actually I kind of prefer Barristan, if he were to live, being like, fuck this is weird, I'm once again finding a new monarch, and then he goes to Young Griff, and so he's the honourable knight with Young Griff, and Young Griff represents a handsome, good king who overthrows Cersei and defeats Euron and is awesome, and then you have the whole Dance of the Dragons. We've talked about this theory before. But he's probably dead, he's probably cooked. Yeah, being stabbed in the back, being betrayed in a battle, he dies in battle, so, but it's still kind of, whatever. Someone said, yo, what the fuck even is this? What's what? Well, what, the live stream? It's a Haven live stream, baby. This is a battle of fire. I don't know where you've been. This is this is the historically accurate battle of fire. Okay, let's see what everyone's theories are. Now that I've rambled about my thoughts. That's the stuff about the horn. Oh, interesting. Someone said we only discussed phase/wave 1, the Dothraki, and the Volantines are phase 2, with Dany flying back with another army being phase 3. Oh god! So you're saying the Battle of Fire is phase 1, and then Khal Jacko's going to appear on the side of the Yunkai with his 20,000 man Khalasar. And then the Volantine ship's coming in. Oh, and then Dany's going to come back and... Oh, God. Just leave Meereen already. That is something worth noting, that there are Volantine ships on their way. I'm not sure where that plot thread is going necessarily, but... hopefully they can all just be burned by dragons. It's cool seeing the regulars in the chat. I'm surprised some of you aren't patrons at this point. No matter what time and what day, no matter how last minute, there are some people in the chat who are like always here. They're always at a Haven stream. I'm like, ooh. Okay, what are some theories? Dany's forces will narrowly win, but the Shave Pate will kill the hostages. Yes, I think the Shave Pate will kill the hostages. He will kill Hizdar. He seems to hate the great masters of Meereen, so he might do that. And that what will make it a Pyrrhic victory, that they succeed, but then the brutality happens inside the city. Well, it's happening outside the city too, but I don't know. Barry will be killed or injured, giving way for Vic and Tyrion to push Dany's forces in a dark direction. Yeah, I'm with you, Vanderman. I'm with you, Milkman. Goddamn, your super chats are annoying, but when you're giving me your Winds of Winter theory, you're cooking. You're cooking with fire. You're cooking with gas, fire, and a carton of milk right there. Yeah, Vic and Tyrion Vic and Tyrion and Moqorro and Marwyn in my head need to be the weird, esoteric, villainous forces that push Dany towards villainy. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. So I think Barry needs to die for that to happen. You know, the font of chivalry and honor, and so on and so forth. Go Yellow City, yay, says Pioneer. We have a Yunkai stan in the chat. Yeah, even if it isn't a full-on massacre of the enemy, even if there's not a rebellion happening, the very least it's going to be a rout, as someone's mentioning in the chat. There will be infighting between someone's saying infighting between the Volantines, Illyrians, Colossi, and Mentarians, who have Illyrian roots, and the Giscari Yunkish. They become architects of their own destruction. Maybe. Victarion binds both dragons to himself, defeats both teams, and conquers all of Slaver's Bay. Based. The slaves in the Volantine fleet will revolt and be for Dany. I've heard about that. The Volantine fleet will arrive, but the slaves will revolt, and so she'll... But then it's kind of like, if she needs a fleet, she's already got one. She's got the Ironborn fleet. Yeah, bro probably dead. Yeah. Barristan Selmy, the old king of Meereen. Slave armies are only good on paper. There are some top individual commanders on the Targaryen side. Barristan will be betrayed and Dany will have enough of mercenary companies after her return. Yeah. Orin Waters will show up and say, "We have come to die for the Dragon Queen." Bro, I keep forgetting, in terms of potential Dany allies, there's a fucking Valyrian bastard pirate king in the steppes. Is he going to be on team Griff or team Daenerys? I don't even know. He's going to join one of them though. Haven the goat, we love you, Haven. I love you, barbed beggar. The Queen's Unk. Oh man. James Ryan said, "I'm a Patreon." Are you? Man, I can't... What's your name on the Discord? People have different names in chat and Discord, and so I never know it's the same person. Oh no, my thing's... No. Nah, we're good. I thought we were frozen. Orin Waters will join Dany, become a master of ships. Nah. He's got no incentive. If you mean later on we'll join her, maybe. Tyrion and Shave Pate will not like each other. Yeah, no, the Shave Pate is fucked no matter what. I think, unless he really is just as he seems on the surface and not being scheming and backstabby, but I do think he is just he is just filling the power vacuum and trying to take over, and it won't end well for him. I weirdly like Daario. He's so awful. Daario, I don't think I feel this way about him now, but when I first read the books, Daario was my most hated character. Genuinely. I hated Daario the most. Not Joffrey, because I went into the books knowing that, because I hadn't watched the show yet, and I heard Joffrey was evil and everyone hated Joffrey. He was a great villain, and it was so oversold that when I read the books, I was like, oh, this is just like a child who's like a bully. Like, is that it? he's not that. But Daario annoyed me. I think it was his arrogance and just the way he lusts after Dany when Dany's a child just creeped me the hell out. I just hate it. I was just like, ugh. I don't know if I share that same hatred, but I was like, fuck this guy. How will whoa. Go on, chat. Stop cucking me. I'm trying to read. Oh, I've lost it now. Where is it? My streams bring colour to an otherwise grey life. That's very kind. That's weird. I don't do very regular streams. Shave Pate pulls order 66. Yeah. Dany's forces lose and she has to start again from scratch, taking 10 more books to wrap it up. like the like the end of Game of Thrones, she loses the army. How do you... There it is. That's the comment I was trying to find. How do you think Tyrion will get power? I don't know. Why is Marwyn evil? Okay, to be fair, that is true. I keep giving the list of Dany's current and future allies who are weird and esoteric and evil, etc. And I keep throwing in Marwyn. But, like, we don't know that Marwyn's bad. It's more that he's just a weirdo and he's eccentric. And it's like, yeah. I know. I kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Damn, there's lots of Aurane Waters love here. Yeah, isn't Daario literally a 30-year-old guy who's reduced to 14-year-old? Yeah, no, that's why I hate it. I hate this grown-ass man being like... Ugh. If Daario was like... If he wasn't a sellsword captain, if he was just in real life, he'd be one of those sleazy 30-year-old men in a vest, drinking beer, and like his girlfriend is like in high school. That's Daario. Daario Diddy. P. Daario. P. Daario. How much is my Patreon? It depends on the pledge. There's like 10 different pledges, different prices. The lowest is like £3 a month. The highest is like something like, I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest. I'm thinking of revamping it anyway, but just check it. Feel free to just browse and check it out and see if it works, if it seems like something you care about. The link's in the description. Why is Daario so arrogant? He's the 4th captain of a mid-tier group of sellswords. I'm loving the Daario hate right now. It's funny how boring he is in the books. Like, he's so dull in the books. Sorry, not in the books, in the show. Like, I hate him so much in the books, and in the show he's just a nobody. He's just like a nothing guy. What a non-character he is in the show. Okay. Is there any aspect of the Battle of Fire that we have yet to explore? Is there anything? We've talked about potential aftermaths of defeating the slavers or the dragons going wild. The Shave Pate maybe killing Barristan, maybe orchestrating a coup. Dany returning and taking over once again and choosing to go to Westeros. Having a crew. I mean, listen to her crew right now. Listen to her crew. Who's she going to have? She's going to have Tyrion. Evil dwarf. Murdered allegedly, his nephew and his father wants revenge on Westeros. Jorah Mormont, who's been exiled, has returned. He's bruised and has a demon face tattooed on the side of his face. You got Victorian Greyjoy, who's an ironborn thug with a smoking volcanic hand. You have Mokoro the Black Flame, who's a big, burly, red priest who believes that she's the chosen one and will try and indoctrinate her into a crazy fire-worshipping religion. Marwyn the Mage, who's a crazy mage who was friendly with Qyburn, who's a literal necromancer. You've got brutal sellsword captains like the Tattered Prince and Brown Ben Plum and Dario Naharis. You've got an army of eunuch slaves, an army of pillaging, raping, raiding a Dothraki. I mean, am I missing anyone? Am I missing any of her, like, allies and advisors that are just... Let's say you are young Griff. Let's say you're young Griff. You attack Westeros, there's a mad Queen Cersei in power, you overthrow her, you take the Iron Throne, and then you hear, your aunt is coming. She has 3 dragons. She has a crazy red priest on one shoulder. She's got a crazy maester feeding her prophecies. She's got an ironborn admiral. Her hand is an evil, twisted, kin-slaying dwarf. She has a red priest dripping poison into her ear. She's got a slave army. She's got brutal sellswords. I don't know, she's got elephants or some shit. Like, terrifying. She sounds like a villain, right? She sounds like the obvious villain of the story. If you're younger, if you're like, I'm clearly the good guy. Yeah. I honestly don't mind the idea that Daenerys' arc is, like, slowly becoming more villainous, and, like, it starts off almost chosen one, and by the end of it, it's almost like, oh yeah, a bizarre assortment of villains of coalesced. Which is an idea I had when I was in sixth form, when I did some short stories for my creative writing course, and I came up with the idea of a chosen one and a small band of people, but the idea is the quest they went on became meaningless, and they lost track of what they were meant to do over the years, and they got sucked into wars and quests, and instead of growing as people, they became worse people, and by the end of it they were like just a crew of like evil people. But I'm not sure if Dany is going in that direction. It's hard to know, really. Talk about the elephants. We better see some elephant action. The Golden Company have elephants in the Stormlands right now. Check out my Battle of Steel video. I want to see some elephant action. Which character is going to do the Legolas? Which character is going to climb on top of an elephant, arrow it in the head, and then like slide down the tusk? Electric Angel said, how will this affect the price of slaves in the international trade routes? I can't tell if that's a genuine question or if you're doing a meme, like like brackets, this will affect international trade routes. Economists be like, Dany's liberation of Slavers Bay will affect international trade routes. To respond to that seriously, I mean, if Dany crushes Yunkai, Astapor's fucked, Yunkai's fucked, she's leaving Meereen behind, the nexus of the slave trade is going to collapse. Slavery will, the trade will be fucked. It won't be like permanently wiped out. But again, we don't know what Dany's off to do. She, loads of people theorize that she's going to go to Volantis next, which considers itself the cultural, historical, spiritual successor to old Valyria. So, like, the people suspect that she's going to go to Volantis and basically destroy the slavers and free the slaves. So, maybe slavery's going to get fucked up. Dany Lincoln. The Tattered Prince is Euron? Oh, god damn it. See, I remember. See, here's the paradox with Euron. He is undeniably cool. Handsome, pale guy with a short black beard, and he's got a black eye patch, and underneath it is like a black eye, but his other eye is like blue as the summer sky. He's got smirking blue lips because he drinks a hallucinogenic drug. I mean, he is fucking badass. But he also comes so late into the story that it's like, did you plan this? Did you plan this character all along? Why is someone this important arriving this late? Kind of is quite eyebrow raising. Mace the Ace will take down the elephant. Yes. Oh my god, I'm literally imagining Mace from the show, like, burying an axe in an elephant's head and, like, sliding down the tusk. Fucking dabbing. Loras is like, that still only counts as one. Dany put tariffs on the slave trade. Yeah, in the Winds of Winter, Dany will slap tariffs on Volantis and Karth and Pentos. There's nothing to idealize about Dany. She destroys everything she touches. That's a very unnuanced take on Dany's character. She's a very, very complex character. I wouldn't say she destroys everything she touches. Oh wait, was there a super chat I missed? Oh, sorry, Vandelman, another super chat. Vanderman said, reading Gurm's blog makes me want to commit Sudoku. Honestly, him saying that Winds of Winter is a curse, that felt like therapy, you know? It was like, that's the first time you've just said your feelings out loud, like, about this thing. He just ignores talking about winds, or he's like passive-aggressive, like, something fun is happening, and no, it's not Winds of Winter, so stop asking me. And it's like, whoa, chill, man. But do we believe him? Do we believe George? When he does his whole, I am working on it, but it's just going slowly and I get distracted and I have other stuff to do, but I haven't abandoned it. I am working on it and it's going well. It's just going slowly. Do we believe him, or do we think he's completely abandoned the books and he's just kind of lying and pretending? Because I actually think he's telling the truth. I think he is still working on it, and I think progress is going fine. It's just slow, and he isn't really sure how to finish. But I don't think he's abandoned writing. I think he is still doing it. I think he's still writing. Okay, maybe I'm too optimistic. Dany crashing the economy of Essos by destroying the slave trade is kind of dark. Yeah, George is scared to disappoint both his own and his fans' expectations. Half-Life 3. Yeah, because he's clearly I mean, in my opinion, I've said this before, I think he's a demand-avoidant ADHD perfectionist. I think he's an ADHD perfectionist. That might just be projection, because I am, to an extent. But I think he's like, he easily gets distracted. He can hyper-focus sometimes. Other times he just easily gets bored. And everyone keeps telling him what to do, so he makes him not want to do it. And yeah, I think he's like, there are so many eyes on this that every single line has to be perfect. Versus when he's writing Game of Thrones, he's like, I'm passionate about this. I'm writing this. It's going to have a small cult fan base, hopefully. But now he's like, the world is watching. Every single line matters. Oh, God, oh, fuck. Like, yeah. Yeah, he doesn't want to nominate a successor to his work. He doesn't seem to want to hire co-writers. He wants it to be purely him, which I fully understand. As someone who also has a big ego, I fully understand. No ADHD perfectionist would publish Dance. That's a very good point. Like, in no universe would I, as an author, ever create a feast-dance situation where they're split into two so messily and then one of them doesn't even end properly. Yeah, no, you're right. But that could be the editors intervening and being like, we are forcing you to do this. Cope. the thing is, no editor has any sway on him anymore. It's the same with like J.K. Rowling, right? From what I understand, I'm not huge into Harry Potter, but from what I understand, she had tight editors, and then by the time she wrote Order of the Phoenix, at that point, she could say no to any editor, and that book was super bloated, and her other books are a bit too big, right? So maybe that's wrong, but there is a general idea that editors are good for the most part. They know what they're doing, and when an author gets too big for their boots, they start being like, nah, I want to keep this, I want to keep this. The editor can't tell them what to do, and then their books inevitably become bloated and become full of themselves and self-indulgent, and it's not tight. Like, isn't there that, like, an editor's note where someone's like, you've used words of wind 18 times in the last few pages, maybe try something else? And George's notes, he literally responds just being like, no. He just tells the editor, he's like, no. It's like, oh, okay then. I don't know, man. I think A Song of Ice and Fire is awesome. It's certainly an inspiration for me, but it's also a cautionary tale. So when I do my books, I will make sure that certain things are planned out, that I'm respectful to the fans, and that I'm getting stuff done. Maybe not always in time, I am the late Lord Haven, but doing my best to get stuff done. And finishing the series. J.K. Rowling got lucky with world building. I think that's probably true. Again, I'm not huge into Harry Potter, but from what I remember as a kid, I never liked the prose or the writing at all, but the world building is like S tier. The world building and the names and the concepts are S tier, and that's kind of what propelled it. Yeah. Thanks, Peter Griffin, for that. Who's saying, shout out Peter Griffin. Worst case, he doesn't finish, but the publisher, publisher publishes the book. Yeah, I don't know who legally. I don't know how that works legally. I've talked about this before. I don't, like, if George, God forbid, were to pass away sometime soon, and the book was not finished, who has the rights to that book? Like, can his wife just destroy all the notes, or does the publishing company have the rights over everything he owns, and then they will package it up and sell it as, this is what exists of the Wind of Winter? I don't know. Like, I'm sure legally they might not be able to pass it off to a new author if George forbids it, but in terms of, like, releasing what he's done already, can they do that? I don't know. I personally would like to see Unfinished Winds published. That's my personal take. That's my selfish take, is if such a situation to arrive, I would want to see Unfinished Winds, without question. Without question. Here's a little thought experiment for everyone. Let's move the slide, because we've kind of wrapped up talking about the Battle of Fire. Before we wrap up here, let's say a new author finishes the books. Either George kind of retires and hands it off to someone, or he passes away and someone else takes over. I'm not going to ask who, because the problem is there is no one in my head who, you know, people always like Brandon Sanderson, as if Brandon Sanderson's style isn't, like, polar opposite. As if Brandon Sanderson hasn't come out and said, I don't like the A Song of Ice and Fire books. He's literally said, like, he said A Game of Thrones is one of the top 10 fantasy books of all time, and he also doesn't like it at the same time. He's like, I respect the series so much, but I don't like it. That's Sanderson's take. So of course so I'm not going to ask. I guess if you want to, you can throw out ideas of who could finish it. But what I'm really interested in is, how interested would you be in the Winds of Winter, 80% written by George, 20% written by someone else? Or how much would you be interested in A Dream of Spring, 100% finished by someone else, with George's notes? How interested would you be? Or would it be like, that's not his story, so I'm not intrigued? So it's a hard one for me, because like, if someone took his notes, I would like to see how the story ends, but it just wouldn't be the same. See, I never read Wheel of Time. I'd like to in the future, but so I don't quite know what it's like transitioning from the original author to a new author finishing the series. Like, do you have the same level of attachment? I don't know. This is why I'm not super worried about, and this is a bit of a tangent, but I'm not super worried about AI taking over art and destroying artists, because I think fundamentally human beings are interested in art because they're interested in the artist. Sometimes, obviously, like maybe there's a pop star or a celebrity author or a auteur director or actor or whatever, and they're interested in that person. But also subconsciously, there's a sense of, I want to see what this person has to say. Like, I'm watching this movie because I want to know what the director has to say. I'm reading this book because I want to see this person's ideas and experiences have been condensed and have evolved into this saga of some sort. I want to see what they have to say. Or this piece of art, it comes from the soul, right? The thing with AI stuff is that you know it's not coming from a person, so it's never going to be as interesting. Like, biologically, I don't think we are going to be that attracted to AI art, so I think we're kind of safe in that capacity. As a gimmick, sure, like, hey, there's an AI movie. Okay, that's kind of interesting as a gimmick. There's an AI book. Okay, it's kind of interesting. But, like, there's no attachment because you're not reading the work of a person, and just biologically you want to feel a connection to the artist. You want to see what that artist has to say. Like, I often think about this. Let's say that someone's like, AI has read the first 5 A Song of Ice and Fire books and has taken George's secret notes and has now written The Winds of Winter. Are you interested in reading it? I guess, again, like a gimmick, I'm interested in a gimmicky way, but in terms of would I actually be emotionally invested in it? No, because I'm emotionally invested in the characters and the storyline created by an author. Like, you're kind of emotionally invested in the work and the author at the same time. So if AI were to suddenly write Winds, it would be like, I'm just not connected to it because it doesn't feel like the natural progression of the story. You know? And I think if you go even deeper, I think there's even a kind of, I don't know, you can get into some weird biology stuff about like status, where like being an artist is a sign of your high social status and a sign of being a good mate. And so when you're enjoying a great piece of music or a great piece of art, you're appreciating the artist subconsciously as a good mate, as someone who is, you know what I mean, like biologically. It's very interesting to think about. Shout out Ursula Le Guin. I haven't read Earthsea, but I do have it, and I would like to read it at some point. And like I said, I want to branch out. This year, I will start doing some Witcher content alongside Song of Ice and Fire. And I really want to get back into Dragonbone Chair because I abandoned it. I didn't mean to, I just did. It was really cool. And I want to do a series comparing... I want to do a video comparing A Song of Ice and Fire with Memory, Sorrow and Thorn trilogy. Oh yeah, and another classic people are pointing out is, you know, Tolkien's son and Frank Herbert's son for Dune. And that George doesn't have any offspring to sort of pass on. It's classic, isn't it? You have a famous author, they pass away, and their son or grandson or daughter carries on the legacy, but they're never quite as good as the original. Just give me the notes, someone said. Would some of you just want the notes? Like, literally just, George passes away, this is what he wrote of Winds, and these are the notes for the future, don't let anyone else write it. Wouldn't it be terrifying if he had no notes? That, like, he's so much of a gardener, he's like, I have no shit planned. I'm the spy. George is 70, yeah, he's 70 something. He's looking skinnier, isn't he? I think man might be him the Ozempic. To be fair, he's 70, but he looks like he's been 70 for like 20 years. He has been like a fat bearded Santa man for 20 years. Like when he was in his 50s, he did not look like he was in his 50s. Yeah, let's see. Someone said, I'm a ride or die type, so I'll only read Germ. That's fair enough. That's respectable. Someone else alternatively says, at this point, I couldn't care less if a monkey finished it. The Expanse guy could make it work. I think the Expanse guys is 2 authors, right? 2 authors with 1 pen name. I can do that shit. I was talking to some of my friends about this, actually. Some new friends. I was saying that the Expanse... I couldn't work with another author and, like, come up with a pen name. Like, I want my name on that shit. I want people to know I wrote that. You kidding me? I'm not doing a pen name. It'll be odd the entire time reading if it's someone else's writing style with George's ideas. I'd be thinking about how George would have written a scene or character description the entire time. Fair enough. I think Germ's prose plays a big part in why the books are so good. I don't understand why there was that meme. Like a few years ago, the whole kind of George Armand's prose being bad was like a thing that went around. Like, what? In what universe is his prose bad? Like, what? Some of his sentences are like, they flow so well, but when you break them down analytically, you're like, some of these are like shockingly simple. But that's good, I think, honestly. His prose not being flowery, not being purple, works considering how complex the plots and the characters and world building is. Like, if you had purple prose on top of that, it would just be impenetrable. Not very few people can get away with that. Tolkien is one of them. Oh, this whole meme about Winds and Dream being released at the same time. It's like, in what universe is George writing both at the same time? How do you even do that? How the fuck do you write 2 books at once? Art is the translation of human emotion into some sort of medium. Since AI does not have emotion, there is no translation, and it isn't even art. That's a great sentence, Barb Beggar. That's basically what I was saying. You put it more eloquently than me. God damn, I'm going to work on my grammar. I'm not anti-AI, by the way. I'm just saying, when it comes to AI art, I think humans are always going to be attracted to other humans making art than they are AI making art. Does George have any nephews who are into writing? I know he has sisters. Yeah, you better believe he has sisters. He has one who's older and one who's younger. He thinks he's Aegon the Conqueror. God damn. Imagine being George's sister and you read his books and it's nothing but brother-sister incest. It must be awkward as fuck. A Song of Ice and Fire could have been finished in 4 more books after Storm if it was planned out better. Maybe. How many bastards does George have? Christopher Tolkien was an excellent successor to Tolkien. That's cool. Someone recommended Republic of Thieves by Scott Lynch. Scott Lynch, why does that sound familiar? What's Scott Lynch done? Oh, stop that. Oh no. Sorry. Oh, come on. My screen's doing that thing. No, go away. Stop. No. Be gone. Be gone. Be gone. Go away. How do I leave this? Oh, never mind. I've got a thing on my screen I can't get rid of. Okay, Boomer Haven. Vast majority of artists are not high in society. Starving artist trope is highly accurate. No. I'm not saying. Okay. Yeah, I'm not saying that when you're an artist you are suddenly high in society. Yeah, I'm just saying that we have a connection. We have an emotional connection to an artist because they are condensing their emotions and creating art out of it, and because they and on top of that, because artists are displaying skill, then I think there's a kind of, I don't know, I feel like maybe there's like a kind of connection there, a kind of an attraction to people who are displaying skill, even subconsciously, not consciously. Like obviously no one's reading a Song of Ice and Fire and being like, this makes me want to fuck George R. R. Martin, but like it's being like, I don't know, my brain is fried and it's past midnight, so just ignore me. I can't get my thoughts out, bruh. Lord Haven, if I may ask, do you hate Daenerys Velaryon? I think you know the answer to that. If you're one of my patrons, you know the answer to that. I think, but I've made this clear enough already. You're trying to bait me. I know you're trying to bait me. But goddamn, does Daenerys Velaryon suck? Goddamn. Could you make more animated video regarding houses like Dane, etc.? Every house that is interesting, I will make videos about. So I'm not going to do House Peckledon or some shit, or House Volmark, but I will do House Mormont and shit like that, because there's stuff to talk about. And in terms of getting the minor ones, I'll do, I could do like, they're each houses explained, and I can do all of them very briefly, and I can mention the smaller ones. As for Dane, I have a House Dane video already, but it's a Patreon exclusive. I made it, I think like maybe 2 years ago, potentially, 1 or 2 years ago. The history of House Dane is like 12 minutes long on the Patreon. It's pretty good. Yeah, Crossfire said what I'm thinking, which is purple prose is off-putting, but Tolkien makes it work. Yeah, purple prose is not my jam. Yes, Scott Lynch's Loch Lamora. Correct. Yes. The Lies of Loch Lamora. Isn't that meant to be like fantasy Renaissance stuff? Make more animated video. Yeah, of course I will. I'm sticking with the Song of Ice and Fire, but I will also branch out to other stuff. At least George's editor hasn't had a drunken crash out on Facebook about having not seen a word of Winds in over 10 years. Is that a reference to Patrick Rothfuss's editor? Because I have not read his 2 books. I have them, I haven't read them yet. But yeah, I hear if people don't like, if people get annoyed by George, I know Patrick Rothfuss is a bit of a bastard from what I hear. He just, donate to this charity and I'll read a sample chapter, and then he just doesn't read the sample chapter and gets mad when people ask about it and stuff like that. I don't comprehend how you can write 2 super successful fantasy books and you have interest in like film adaptations, and literally just 2 books propels you to stardom, and you just don't do anything. You're like, I'm now gonna not write anything. Like, what the fuck? How much money did you make from 2 books that you just decided you didn't want to write the 3rd? Like, holy shit, I'd be riding that wave. I'd be writing so many fucking books, so many spin-offs. Are you kidding me? Southern Crusade has been assembling some shelves. The background kept me calm while I cursed out this confusing Chinese furniture instruction. IKEA, man, that's why you always go IKEA. Have you ever considered trying to do a live stream series with Quinn where you go through what-if scenarios? I haven't. See, here's the thing about the what-if. People really like the Blackfire what-if. There aren't many what-ifs I can do, unfortunately. Like, the whole what-if Robert lost Robert's Rebellion, there's not much to say. It's like, okay, I can describe a way in which he could have lost if certain things happened, but then post that, it's like, then what happens? Because the whole story is based around Robert winning. So, like, what events... It would have to be the new person winning, whether that's Aerys or Rhaegar, how they interact to things that are happening anyway, regardless of... But that doesn't make sense, because everything happens because of Robert's rebellion. So it's kind of... It's hard to do what if, honestly. I'm not sure there's much you could do. Yeah. But feel free to throw in more live stream ideas for both me and Quinn. Here's another thing I've considered doing, by the way. So, I want to, at some point, write some books and short story. And I'm thinking a good way to get into that is short stories. So I'm kind of considering whether I want to basically start writing some fun fantasy short stories and putting them on Substack behind a small paywall for and kind of, if you're interested, you can check it out, and then we build up a community. I build up the lore and the world, and then if people are interested enough, I release a novel or even an entire series. Because I've got some, I've got a little fan base here that enjoys my videos, so I'm looking forward to just being like, okay, here are some of my books. Check them out. Let me know if you like them. Who would be interested in reading my stuff? I feel like I need to do more videos that... My animated stuff's cool, but I need to throw out more videos that are have more of my personality in, so that people are more interested in checking out my books. I don't want to be like a boring channel, I don't want to be like infographics where people just watch it for the facts and then leave. Bro, I'm not falling for this Daenerys Velaryon rage bait. You know why I don't like her. Don't test me, sir. The success of Kingkiller Chronicles took Rothfuss by surprise, and he scared shitless how to finish it. Bro, come on. If I wrote 2 books and they exploded and became 2 of the biggest fantasy books of all time, I would not be sitting on my ass doing nothing. I'd be like, let's go. TV rights, film rights, miniature, video games, several spin-offs, prequels, sequels. Let's get cooking. I'd cook so hard. I wouldn't just abandon it. Any potential collabs with Michael Talks About Stuff, perchance? Maybe. I really got on with him when I filmed the Guides video, both like before the game and during the game and after the game. We had a big chat. He came across as super likable, super nice, super lovely. But sure. I need to watch more of his stuff. I need to like do a Michael binge, I guess. Will you ever play games with the wider community aside from patrons? That's a good question. So I do play games with patrons. We do A Song of Ice and Fire Jeopardy. I did more last year. I want to do more. I want to get back into that in the voice chat. And I'm planning on doing like a Song of Ice and Fire tourney one-shot, RPG one-shot and a tourney with my patrons and stuff like that. Games with the community at large? Maybe? How would I do that? I definitely want to do more game-related stuff. For sure. Like, I've often talked about playing the Telltale game with Quinn, or doing that shitty RPG from back in the day. Or maybe it was good, I can't remember. But like playing the weird Game of Thrones games that exist. When King's Road comes out, of course I'm going to play that, and we're going to have fun with it. That would be weird, because I've never like properly played a video game. Streamed by a self-played game. Yes, exactly. Someone said the what if thing applies to basically everything else. What if Aegon lost the 7... what if Aegon's conquest lost? Exactly. It would be like, I don't know. The 7 kingdoms just keep fighting each other. It's like... Give me free Patreon and I'll read your books. Hey, if I ever did short stories behind a paywall, they would probably be free for patrons. Obviously. If Ned is a pigeon, what animals did father and brother turn into? You know what? This live stream's going for like nearly 3 hours. It's past midnight. I'm tired as fuck. But I enjoy interacting with you a lot, so I don't wanna end the stream. And so now we're at the point where talking about Ned being a pigeon. His father walked into the flames that he was being roasted on top of, so he roasted himself, and his brother Brandon turned into Ares before he was strangled to death. So Brandon Stark is the Mad King, and that's why he let Tywin's forces in to deliberately lose the war. It's obvious. Will we get more CK3? Do people... Because I'm very bad at CK3, which is why I don't really want to stream myself playing it, because I kind of don't know how to play it. I kind of suck at it. In terms of like the observer mode, where I get Robert's Rebellion up and I just let it play, and you know, we just look at the book characters and see what they got up to in his timeline. That's super fun. I haven't done that in ages. Maybe I should actually. Yeah, that could be fun. That could be really fun. Yeah, it's been a while. I did enjoy doing that. Multiplayer cruiser. Okay, no, I will tell you this. Yeah, CK3 of Game of Thrones with multiplayer with other YouTubers would be fun. Like doing that with Quinn, maybe seeing anyone else who's interested. That could be cool. Maybe make a peasant section to the Patreon Discord for the normies with no rights. See, yeah, see, most people have that. Most people have a Patreon where like there's or a Discord for the fans, and then there's a Patreon section. I'm just kind of scared about the idea of having like a big Discord for anyone with no filters. Like I'd need to find mods. I wouldn't know where to get mods from. There'd need to be one mod active at least like at all hours of every day, so that there's not dodgy stuff being posted. Like, it's just kind of daunting, to be honest. A Haven Discord could be fun though. What's your proudest video? I think your best one is Bracken versus Blackwood. That is a good one. That's kind of a blur to me, because I was just like, my plan was to make all those videos before Hot D aired, and then over Hot D would be like review, post a video I've already made, relax, right? But instead, as usual, Late Lord Haven, I got it done really late, and I was making the videos as the show was out, like sweating, trying to get them done in time, like Bracken vs Blackwood. See, I don't think I've watched that since I made it. I don't really rewatch my videos a lot, because it's kind of cringy watching my own videos. I always watch it thinking it's going to be cringe, and then it's not, and I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, Bracken v Blackwood, I worked hard on that. See, what I did was I spent like a month drawing characters for like 4 different videos, and then Hot D dropped, and I had to make them all while it was out. God, that was a chaotic time. I was so busy, and then afterwards I kind of like crashed out and like didn't post a video for ages afterwards, which kind of sucks. It definitely affected the channel, but during Hot D being out, that was a great time. But yeah, what video do I like? I mean, Battle of Fire I worked super hard on. All of my battle videos I've really liked, actually. I think they've been really high quality. The Blackfire one, honestly, I really like doing that. I saw I like how some of my videos have become memes. Like there was a fucking thing someone showed me on TikTok. I don't have TikTok, but there was like a screenshot of a video where it's like a phone screenshot, where it's like the notification from dad being like, how's the job search going? And the video they're watching is, what if the Blackfire Rebellion succeeded? And it was like a Blackfire Stan account. And I was like, huh, that's cool. Father Haven, my life is yours if you make a video about Patchface. Ooh. Oh. Every Fool Explained. I'm going to make a note of that, you genius. Every Fool Explained. That's what we're doing. Do you want to hear what all my... So here are my ideas. So obviously, you know, I had Every Frey Explained. I've also got Every Night's Watch video explained. Every Night's Watch member explained is an idea I have. That's probably gonna be aimed for winter, right? Like snowy vibes, Night's Watch. I want to do like the history of the Night's Watch, followed by every Night's Watch member explained. That would take ages. I have a list of all of them, and it goes on for pages, like pages and pages. I tried to do it for last year, by the way. I tried to do that like December last year, and I was like, nah, I haven't got it in me. But every fool explained, Moon Boy, Patch Face, Butterbumps, Mushroom, every bastard explained. That goes without saying. Every single bastard in Westeros. Every sellsword explained. Like every sellsword company explained, where I break down all the companies and all the members of them. Every hedge knight explained. Oh, that's a good one. I don't think... Oh, no. Going back to my other thing, what video am I most proud of? Obviously, it's every Frey explained. It's 40 to 50 minutes of pure animation. No show clips. Pure animation. Assets are moving every fucking second. I drew hundreds of characters. I drew every single Frey, and I broke down all of them. That's what I'm most proud of. Someone recently in the comments of that video were like, they timestamped a certain part, and they're like, you need to take a breath, you're talking too fast. By the way, your voice is cute. I was like, bro, I'm being hit on by some random gay dude in the comments. Just my voice alone. How flattering. Every river explained. Come on now. Every river? No one wants to hear that shit. Lancel Lannister is Tyrion's son. That's a legit theory. Okay. What, as in Lancel Lannister... As in Tyrion had sex with Dorna Swift? Huh? Yeah, I think Tyrion would have mentioned that in his POV. Or are you saying Lancel is like Tyrion's bastard with Tysha and was and they pretended that it's Lancel? Why would they do that though? Why would Tywin not just be like, throw this bastard in the sea, or like send this bastard off to the fucking Citadel or something? Every incest explained. Every incestuous relationship explained. Oh, that's so stupid. Every named person explained. Honestly, there's a small part of me that's like, what if I did like every A Song of Ice and Fire character explained, where I like went through every fucking character and I just explained them in like 2 sentences? That would kill me. I couldn't do that. I actually couldn't do that. Oh, that would be fun though. Don't fucking make me do it. Every stupid Cersei moment explained. Quinn's kind of already done that. Every dragon explained. Oh, then I'd have to draw dragons. I'm not good at that. More CK3 playthroughs. The Tywin one was hilarious. See, here's the thing. People keep asking me for CK3 playthroughs. I only did like 1, and it was Tywin, and I didn't know how to play it, and it was terrible, and all the comments were people being like, you suck, and it just made me be like, oh, I don't do this anymore. But then people keep telling me, play CK3, and I'm like, I don't know how to stop telling me to play it. I mean, if you want to, if you want me to, let me know. I think I'm slightly better now than I was, but... Dick Bean the Go. Every castle. Ooh, every castle explained. Oh, on Westeros Craft. Oh, that could be cool. Castle tier list. Oh, that is lovely. A castle tier list with Quinn. We did Valyrian Steel tier list with Quinn, so castle tier list with Quinn would be really good. Every moment of Emmon Frey's speech explained. I am gonna write Germ an email being like, could you come up with can you tell me what Emmon Frey's speech was? Free city tier list. That's fun too. Nah, that's fun too. People want CK... Okay, I do need to do CK3. I need to do CK3 with Quinn, because Quinn has it, so we could just play it together and... Live streams at the same time? Ooh, That could be fun. Nah, we don't do that. No one even said that. I said that out loud as if someone had said that. I just came up with that. That would be dumb. Live streams are the same. Why would I even suggest that? But no, that could be fun. I do a live stream. I do prefer, excuse me. I do prefer the observer mode stuff, for sure. Yeah, I do prefer observer mode. Because then I can sit back and just watch the AI do dumb shit while I talk to the chat, and it's a lot less stressful. Like, we did one observer mode, like, 2 years ago or something. It was a while ago. Where, like, I think Quellen Greyjoy became king. Like, after Robert's rebellion. Because I think Robert had died and Stannis had died. And maybe Renly as well. So there was, like, a kind of... It was, like, a different... Each Lord Paramount had a certain % chance of claiming the Iron Throne, and somehow Quellen Greyjoy did it, and we had King Quellen, and everyone was like, what the fuck? What if Stannis won the Blackwater? Yes, Crossfire, you have mentioned that before. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fire, actually. That's fire. That one's fire. I like that one. That's fire. That's a what if that works, because he has a lot to contend with in terms of Rob to the north and Euron's shenanigans and the White Walkers and Dany and all that stuff. So yeah, that's good. How sigil tier list. Again, another thing I'm going to do is, because the animated videos take so long, and again, you know, by the way, you know I did that April Fool's video that's like a parody of Quinn? I did that in a day. I made that in like 3 to 4 hours. If I did Quinn videos, you would literally have a video a day. Anyway, because my animation takes so long, I'm going to do a thing where I'm editing down live streams to kind of fill the gap. So either tomorrow or Saturday or Sunday or something, I want to try and edit down a because I've done this before. I edited down the ranking the sigils into a video. I might do the live stream where I rank house words, editing that down into a fun video. So then when you're waiting for animated, you get boom. Here's like a 3-hour live stream. It's now half an hour, and like edited to be fun and so on. Ooh, I could observe Patreon players playing random / cool characters. Oh, that could be fun. Yeah. Observer mode while my patrons are playing CK3 characters going crazy. That could be fun. Yes, I need to play CK3 with my patrons. Stream Game of Thrones tabletop RPG. That is something I've talked about since I started the channel. I have talked about the idea of doing an RPG, doing the A Song of Ice and Fire RPG, because I ran it for a year in my second year of university. For an entire year, I ran A Song of Ice and Fire tabletop RPG. And it was really good. It was really successful. And I love doing it. And I definitely like to do... I mean, I've always wanted to, like, get some YouTubers together and be like, let's do a little, you know, get Quinn, get some others, let's do a little... Song of Ice... Oh, so sorry. It's midnight. I'd be yawning down the mic. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah. Get some people together and do like a one-shot. Because I'm planning on doing a one-shot anyway with my patrons. I'm not deliberately shilling the patron. I'm really not. I'm just... but I'm going to do like a tourney one-shot, where it's just come up with cool characters, then we'll roll the dice for melee and archery and jousting and have fun with it. Maybe there's a little plot in the background or something. I could even I might even ask if they don't mind being recorded, and that's something I could post on YouTube. I wouldn't stream it live because I wouldn't trust all of them. I think some of them, if they knew they were live, would start saying offensive stuff to fuck with me. So what if Valar, Mataris, and Aelor survived? I kind of already done that with my Blackfire what if. Who liked my April Fools? Someone in the comments of my April Fools video was like, I'm unsubbing because your video is about Christianity, and they were like offended. I was like, bro, it was like the dumbest video you can imagine. I was not I was not making fun of Christianity. I was just making fun of Quinn the GM. Like, why would you unsub? Why would you tell me you're unsubbing? Why do I need to know that? I need to wrap up soon. How many people are still watching? This isn't a Battle of Fire live stream anymore. This is me just yapping, just rambling. I can't even see. Load. Ah, that's fucked. Okay. It's saying, my Streamlabs is saying 200 viewers. That doesn't seem right. Let me check. Oh shit, yeah, it's 190 people watching. Yo, who the fuck, why are people, why are 200 people watching me ramble about nothing? That's very flattering. Hi guys. How you doing? Yeah, Southern Crusader. Man, I'm a Christian. I found that video hilarious. That's because you've got a good sense of humor, my guy. You didn't need to tell me you're a Christian. Your name's Southern Crusader. Come on. Okay, I think we gotta wrap up. I'm having so much fun. You know what? You know what I never do? I never do live streams that are just, like, chatting. I never do live streams that are just, like, shooting the shit like this. I just respond to the chat to you guys. I like it to be about something, but then, like, this live stream is completely derailed. I'm just yapping about nothing. I refuse to edit it down. It's telling me I have a super chat, but it's not. Oh, there we go. Rank the Maiko character drawings. Oh, I don't like the Maiko, and I don't like his drawings. Also, it feels kind of rude to rank his drawings, I don't know. Ranking phrase. Remember when you know what I need to edit down into a main, into a main video? The fucking live stream when I was like, smash or pass for every phrase. Yes, thank you. Let's read a super chat. So this is the last call. This is the last call at the bar. Send in your last super chat. Send in your last donations. I'm gonna wrap up soon. If you want me to answer a question, if you want me to say something dumb, now is your opportunity, I guess, because I need to go to bed. I think Lady Haven's probably mad because it's half midnight and I'm at my PC rambling like a madman. Anyway, I've got some Ironborn to draw tomorrow. Thank you for the super chat from DRT is King, who says, in my experience, the A Song of Ice and Fire role-playing game, A Peril in King's Landing, is about 2 to 3 sessions. The Wedding Night is a good 1 session to base it on. Yes, I did the Peril in King's Landing. Yeah, it was about 2 to 3 sessions. Ooh, I could do Peril in King's Landing with my patrons. And maybe record it, and if it goes well, I can edit it together and make it like a little YouTube video, if I have their permission. Or I do a practice run with my patrons, and then I do a proper one with some YouTubers like Quinn GM or Michael Talks About Stuff or whatever. Glide us. Yo, imagine I invited Alt Shift X onto like a Song of Ice and Fire RPG. That'd be crazy. Wedding Night is also good. I think I took 2 sessions for Wedding Night. Mine was slightly longer. See, it's funny because I get bored easily because of my ADHD, and like I can't do chores unless I've got that extra dopamine, right? So I need to listen to live streams and podcasts and music when I do stuff around the house. So like I will like listen to like some pop culture podcasts. I'll listen to some of Song of Ice and Fire stuff. I'll listen to some political stuff from across the spectrum. I'll listen to some music, and I will just like tidy the house, do the cleaning, all that stuff, and people do that about me. Do that with my videos, which I don't think about. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, because you guys don't know what it's like. But when I do a live stream, it's kind of hard to think that there's like 200 people watching. I feel like I'm just talking to myself and there's like random robots responding, but like it's people who are like at work listening to me, or like cleaning the house, or like making dinner, and they listen to my shit. Like, I don't know. It's weird because I always listen to A Song of Ice and Fire like live streams while tidying the kitchen, for example. And it's just kind of surreal to think that people load my stuff up and listen to it. Do I say anything of interest or of note? Anything valuable ever? I feel like I'm just rambling bullshit all the time. Hey, Pioneer said just became a Patreon. That's awesome, Pioneer. Hey, the endless shilling worked. Within you there are two YouTubers. One is too embarrassed to ever mention that they have a Patreon and hides it in the description. The other YouTuber does nothing but talk about their Patreon. Yep, there's a new Patreon. Lord of the Seven Kingdoms. Ooh, is that you? My boy, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms. That's a high pledge. You legend. Someone else joined as a free member. That's cool. Feel free to join the Discord, my boy. Get Glidus to bully him into it. What will ship decks? Man, Glidus is so awesome. That's so kind of it. He literally came to me and was like, I won't like dive into any conversations we have, right? But he came to me and was like, hey, do you want to take part in a quiz show for April Fools? I was like, yes. It was so awesome. Going from like a few years ago, lying in bed listening to his fake A Song of Ice and Fire theories video and laughing out loud at like 2 a.m. at the dumb fucking horse joke. Going from that and being like, yo, it would be so fun to take part in this, to actually being in the Glidus video is like, I'm so blessed. There's a free tier. There's not a free tier. It's just Patreon added a free member option without asking any creator's permission. So you can join for free, but you don't get anything from it. People kind of join for free to like almost like to subscribe, like as a kind of like it's on like the wish list. Like I will come back to you at a later date and join you properly when I can. Who do I believe to be the Harpy? Asked Noah. I don't know, but it would be cool if it were the Shave Pate. It would be cool if the Shave Pate is doing a little double agent shit and he's deliberately funding like pro-slavery terrorists in the street to cause chaos to empower himself with the Brazen Beasts and the Shave Pates and so on. How would you interpret the idea that Dany is actually the Mama's Dragon? So if you said to me, the Mama's Dragon from the House of the Undying, that represents Daenerys, I would say that feeds into the idea that Dany is the Pisswater Princess. That, you know, basically Dany is a random dragon seed taken, you know, a dragon bastard taken from Dragonstone. The real Daenerys died stillborn. Queen Rhaela died, and then the few Targ loyalists remaining fled with a newborn baby who's a Targaryen bastard in Dragonstone, fled to Essos and then raised her with Viserys because they wanted Viserys to have a Targaryen wife, and pretended she's Targaryen all along she's a bastard, or that she's a random Lyseni girl or something like that. I don't know. I don't think it works for me. I don't like Dany being... There are too many secret Targs and too many Targs that actually might not be Targs. I think Dany kind of just let her be a Targ. She let her be a Targ. Yeah, Glidus's Dragon's Legs video was excellent. It was so much fun. It's funny, I'm thinking of doing a similar video, which is going through the entire show and basically breaking down all of the accents. I want to call it like Accents of Thrones. And I literally just go through every season and like pick apart every single character's accent. Well, not like that. I'm not going to stop on every single character, but I will be like, I will break down every region and the accents in each region. And maybe Hot D as well, or I might save it until Hot D's finished. But yeah, that would be a massive change of pace for me. Like, sometimes I just need a break from the animation, and I need to do a shitposty thing like, what's it called? Like my Smash or Pass. So yeah, Accents of Throne. Maybe that's coming. Maybe once I've done Real Euron and Battle of Blood, the next one is Accents of Thrones. Let's cook. Okay. I think I've got to wrap up soon. I'm having so much fun. I pity the people who are tuning in to hear about the Battle of Fire and instead are hearing me read out comments from the chat that say shit like, are Krakens big squid or big octopuses? God damn it. People tomorrow are going to be like, oh, Haven did a 3.5 hour video about Battle of Fire, let's go. And like half of this video is me being like, reading out milk super chats. It is 20 to 1 in the morning, and I wanted to have an early night, so I fucked myself. Whoops. Either way, you people have given me excellent ideas for live streams and stuff that I want to get done, so I gotta cook. I gotta get that stuff done. Do they keep the accents consistent with the kingdoms in the later seasons? Oh, I'm not gonna tell you. You're gonna find out in the video. The accents in the show are mostly consistent, but there are some weird ones here and there. It's like mostly Sheffield Northern in the north and RP in the south, but in Flea Bottom out of nowhere there's like Geordie Davos. Or there's like Vardis Egan is Welsh. or like Rickard Karstark in season 1 specifically is Irish. There's like random shit like that. But shout out to Lyman Beesbury being Scottish. Lyman in House of the Dragon has like a posh Scottish accent. He's like the only Scottish character beside Graham McTavish. And in fact, I did a tweet like a couple of weeks ago. They announced that Roddy the Ruin is going to be in House of the Dragon Season 3. And I've always said Roderick Dustin in House of the Dragon needs to be played by a Scottish person because he's Scottish coded. For some reason, I can't read Roddy the Ruin without, Roddy the Ruin. Has to be Scott, and they cast a fucking Scottish actor, a famous Scottish actor to play him. I'm like, let's go. He was always meant to be Scottish. Yeah, the Northerners are all basically copying their accents off of Ned. Apart from the Boltons who have Southern English accents for some reason. Yes, Tommy Flanagan, that's the one. Oh, I want to keep talking, I'm having so much fun. Okay, well... I'm not going to tell you proceeds to tell you. Yeah, well, that's my weakness. I like talking. I love the sound of my own voice. That's step 1 of being a YouTuber. Alright, I think I need to wrap up. Any more for any more? I think we're good. I think we're good. I don't want to stop, guys. It's late, but I'm having too much fun. Oh, Kirsty, don't get me started on Peter Baelish. Oh my god, that needs to be a video in and of itself. Peter Baelish, Littlefinger's accent explained, where I just go through all the different... How would... If I did an Accents of Thrones, would I do it by region or would I do it by season? Huh. I think region. Shanja. I'm a bit confused. What do I think about Jaime's 3 squires? But I don't care. That's my answer. That's my true answer. You want to know my opinion on Josman Peckledon? I think he's based. That's my answer. Okay, bye everyone. Bye. Farewell. Long live Lord Haven. Like, subscribe, comment, check out the Patreon. Check out the merch if you want like a hoodie or a mug. I've got late Lord Haven mug, and it genuinely makes me laugh every time I look at it. But there'll be new merch in the future. Keep an eye out for the real Euron Greyjoy, and hopefully I can carry on the live stream series with Quinn, where we what are we doing? We're ranking all of the nicknames, Song of Ice and Fire nicknames. Anyway, take care, everyone. And yeah, happy Easter. Easter's coming up. Go get them eggs. Go get them bunnies. Go skin a rabbit or whatever.